And I posted this a little while ago. I said, hey, the Packers are at the unofficial, because there's 17 games in the season now, unofficial halfway point of the season after last night. Do you have legitimate hope for the postseason? And so far, and this was only about 25 minutes ago, 226 votes over on the poll question on Twitter, where you can follow me at Bill_Michael. 73.5% of you say no hope at all. Actually that changed. 27.9% of you say yes as the votes continue to come in. But continue to vote. If you're a Packers fan, hope, no hope, yay or nay, whatever that happens to be. Angela, good morning to you and everybody over on the Bud Light live stream. We certainly appreciate you being here. Ben, Kenny, how was your weekend?
It was okay, Bill. No Badger disappointment on Saturday. I was able to go out Saturday night and enjoy myself. Nerve-wracking baseball.
Yeah,
I guess that's the only way I can put it.
Right.
It was fun. It was terrible all at the same time. I felt like I died.
It was, died? That's pretty harsh.
Like I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience.
Okay. A reason why? Just because they lost the one game?
No, it was actually during game one when they were out in the 10th inning, and I don't know. Things were happening that didn't feel real.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I was texting you and I didn't hear from you. And I thought, oh my God, they're down. What was it? 5-0 or 5-1 at one point. And I texted you and I didn't hear back. And I thought, he's already, he drank that same potion that, Prince Charming did in Romeo and Juliet. And he's laying on a slab somewhere. He's already committed suicide. Then all of a sudden they came back to life and you're not going to be alive to see it.
Yeah, I was really drunk by that point. Stayed off the phone.
Okay. Well, it was a hell of a weekend. We had a fun time. By the way, the costume contest down at Stenny's, did you see the winning costume?
Yeah.
That girl freaked my ass out. I am not a big horror film guy. Creaks and stuff in my house at night are the reasons that, I keep the alarms on and the gun next to the bed. I get freaked out by that stuff. Always have. But this girl, and for those that didn't know or haven't seen it, if you go over to the Facebook fan page, I posted the pictures there also over on Instagram. But if you haven't seen the movie The Ring, and I haven't, because that stuff just does something to me, gives me the heebie-jeebies. But this girl she gutted an actual television and built a TV stand around the lower half of her body and put LED lights, and she hand spray painted with an airbrush. I don't know what she does for a living, but it was phenomenal. This background, and then did her makeup and then put in contacts that eliminated the blacks of her eyes, that gave it a white and a like a blue neon type of thing. And that, oh my God, it was phenomenal. I mean, it was one of the best costumes I have ever seen, ever. And people came up and they were showing the picture of the movie of, I don't know, Sonara or whatever the girl's name is in the movie. You ever seen the movie The Ring, Ben?
No.
Okay. Well, whatever this girl's name was, I can't remember. But they were coming up showing pictures of this, and this girl was doing the same act, and it was dead on. I mean, dead on. And she even had it down to the fact that in her gut, she had a VCR. She cut a VCR in half and then put the battery pack for this thing in the VCR, and the on button was on for the VCR. She put an LED light in the on button and turned that on. So the whole thing looked like, when she was walking around, like it was actually plugged into the wall. And then she would just sit there and not move. And then when people would talk to her, she'd start moving her arm. Freak me the hell out. I mean, she won hands down. I'm like, here, take the money, get the hell away from me. Just go. Freak me out. But man, what a great time. We had 20, I think it was 24 people in the costume contest. Now there was a couple that were kind of like, kind of hokey, but everybody else did a fantastic job. There was a guy, though, I got to admit, he came walking in and everybody got kind of quiet. Whether it was appropriate or not, or inappropriate, or just a great costume, the dude looked like Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, and I hate to say dead on, but I mean exactly like Jeffrey Dahmer. It was weird because that's the area down there in that area with all those bars where Dahmer used to hang. And so when he came walking in, it was, and everybody now has either seen something about it, seen the Netflix movie, whatever, as the anniversaries continue, you know, and obviously Annie Schwartz wrote the book Monster, and that's now become, you know, a major hit. But when he walked in the door, it was like everybody's talking and partying. It was like when he walked in the door, it was very surreal. It was a very surreal moment. But the guy looked exactly like Jeffrey Dahmer. Man, it was just, oof. But this guy, because I there was a couple other people that walked in and looked like Dahmer, but this guy was, whoa, man, freaky looking when he walked through the door. So,
Bill,
yeah, go ahead.
I don't get with those costumes. Like, I clearly unbelievably done. How do you drink? You know, like you're going out to a bar, I figure somewhat socially. How do you drink if you're dressed up like that?
You know, I don't know. There was one guy, and I got to post a picture of it. I don't think I did, but he was like some massive alien. The guy put a lot of time into his costume, and he was by himself. He was clearly there for the costume contest, and had the girl not shown up in the TV, he'd have won it because it was just an amazing costume. But it had this whole alien bug-eyed head thing on it. And every time he wanted to take a drink or eat wings, he had to take his head off, you know, where the girl is just standing there because she couldn't sit down. She had a TV stand literally around her. So she had to stand the whole night. And she just stood there and ate wings, you know, out of the TV. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But apparently now I've seen this, the girl that won the costume contest with us, she apparently went to numerous other bars and won there as well. So she said that because Stenny's paid $250 cash. And she said what she won from Stenny's basically paid for the costume. So I don't know what else she ended up winning, but from what I understand, there was 2 or 3 different places. I think Kelly's Bleachers was one of them. And there was a couple other places that she went to over the weekend and won costume contest. But hands down, that was like, whoa, that was a freaky one. But I agree with you, man. If it gets in the way of my drinking, I can't dress up like that. Can't do that. It was always easy for me you'd always go out like dress as a priest or something, or a monk or whatever, you know, because then you could just, you know, throw on the jacket, throw on the collar, put some rosary beads around you or something, and then you could still sit at the table and imbibe. That was it. There you go.
The best one I saw video online, you know, Dak Prescott's little hip swinging exercise he does before the games everyone made fun of. A guy was doing that. It looked just like, dressed like Dak with the headphones and everything. And he was jumping around a restaurant onto every bench and every table and just doing that exercise and not talking to anybody and just like going through every bar and
really
never stopping the little hip swing.
Okay. Well, then again, all you got to do is maybe knock him over and, you know, he's on the IR. So then he's just wearing the headset, not doing anything else. Oh, my goodness. So the scary part of, I guess, Halloween was the fact that the Packers suddenly, after 7 weeks, discovered that, oh, by the way, we have a run game. 8 weeks into the season, they went, oh, yeah, we can run the football. Too little, too late. Bueller. And now the debate this morning on both ESPN and on Good Morning NFL is, what should Brian Gutekunst do? And undoubtedly, resoundingly, both sets said, if you don't get a wide receiver, you're an idiot. You've got at least a shot. And if you can get guys healthy, get your offensive line to play together, which is still a mess. It just is. But if you can get your offensive line straight, not to think that it's going to happen anytime soon, and just run some play. They have not run play action really since week 1, week 2. That's it. They just don't run it anymore. Not on any kind of sort of consistency. Run a little play action, do a few more things in the run game. Romeo Doubs is starting to emerge a little bit. Maybe Christian Watson, the glass tiger, maybe he's going to be out for a while. So Samori Toure is going to get more of an opportunity. See what he can do. He played pretty well in the preseason. See what he can do as well. And if you get another, just a legit wideout, Sammy Watkins is a waste product. I'm sorry. He has nothing left in the tank. Rodgers doesn't even look at him anymore. He just doesn't. He's out there just to be out there. Find somebody, and maybe you can get over 20 points a game. Maybe. And then that doesn't put as much pressure on your defense. Your defense, it kind of goes from there. But, and plus it can begin to build the quote relationship. You know what I find funny is the trades that have happened. McCaffrey comes in San Francisco. He throws for a touchdown, receives a touchdown, runs for a touchdown, right? You look at all these other guys that have made an impact into other teams, like right now. And all we're concerned about is the relationship and how long it's going to take with the quarterback and all that crap. In other words, Aaron Rodgers is so unbelievably high maintenance that you cannot put anybody around him because he's so far up on the pedestal that he has the inability to mesh up with anybody. I don't buy that. I think you got to go get somebody, get him in, get him here now. And that way, maybe, just maybe, you can eke in as a wild card, because the NFC just sucks. There's the elite and then everybody else. That's it. The NFC just sucks. And if you can just get in and hit the ground running at the right time, you've got now, 9 games to get this thing straight. You get a guy in here 9 games down the road, get some people healthy, maybe, just maybe, you can put something together for a run in the postseason and build towards at least one more year with Aaron Rodgers. And then you'd have and I'll tell you this, I trade a second round pick right now. At least you find a legit guy who has proven himself versus the undrafted, unknown, takes too long to understand the NFL crap. You were going to pay Devonta anyway. You might as well go find somebody. The uneducated, got to build a relationship, got to give them time crap that we've been listening to when the draft choices simply are not panning out. And this team is now behind the 8 ball. We either, 1, way overestimated the talent, or 2, coaching sucks. Pick your in between. But I would go out and spend a second round draft choice right damn now. And actually, you needed to do it a week and a half ago. Why you didn't, I don't know. But you can't hang on to crap like grim death and act like it's gold. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, feel free to go ahead and do so, because I want to hear from everybody today. This is the day we can chat about damn near anything and everything. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Stay tuned. I want to get to all of you over on the Bud Light live stream as well. Hear from you on the phone lines, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. We'll be back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gene Adela in the title tones, featuring Wayne Larrabee, Jason Wilde, and Mark Tauscher. Game Day Bus, take 47.
Let's all take
the Game Day Bus
to Titletown.
Let's go. Wayne, Tausch, Wilde, haven't you been practicing all year? What if I said Pella fans can get 0% interest for 48 months on any replacement project right now?
Yeah!
And there is your Pella.
Can he say that? Isn't that trademarked?
His paycheck for this says otherwise. Speaking of catchphrases, we call this the Pella Now, Pay Later option. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin's experts stop by for an in-home consultation. They'll help you choose the perfect windows for your home. The installation is completed with no hassle or mess, leaving only perfect results while you put no money down. Make no payments and no interest for up to 4 years. Schedule your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Expires 10/31/2022.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Legitimate place for him. You know, we had a lot of things we wanted to get to him, including that middle stream, which turned out to be kind of like it was in practice. It was a nice play and set us up for, fourth and manageable. But there was legitimately 4 or 5 things for him in the plan that we felt great about. So losing him definitely changed things. No Covey, no Allen. That hurts us.
No Covey, no Allen. Had to mix things up. Christian goes down. First play of the game. He's done again. Now, concussion, you can't help, but still, he is, so far, his stint in the NFL is that guy's made of glass. Packers lose yesterday by 10, 27-17. They cover the spread, but ultimately lose the game, go to 3-5. Bills now sitting at 6-1. Vikings going to win yesterday. They are also at 6-1, 34-26. They knocked off the Cardinals. Ben, how did I do in my picks over the weekend?
You went 2-1. You're creating some distance from myself, who cannot do better than 1 and 2 ever.
Okay. I was. Which one did I lose?
Well, you had the Packers.
I took the Packers and the points, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I need to recheck which one you lost. It might have been the Jets who got crushed.
Yeah, that was somewhat surprising. I really thought that this would be that the Jets would have gotten the win, especially at home. But they got knocked off. I also thought the Cardinals had to have it. You talk about a team that's also in turmoil right now. Cliff Kingsbury, I was reading some of the Arizona newspapers today, And boy, they are calling for Cliff Kingsbury's head. You know, they paid Kyler Murray all that money to be the guy, and it's not happening. 34-26, they get knocked off in Minnesota yesterday. How about those Falcons? For just very quietly, they deal Matt Ryan, get rid of him. Everybody leaves him for dead. They're sitting at 4-4 now, 37-34. They get the win over the lowly Carolina Panthers. Did you hear, by the way, I think it was in Seattle, the Seattle game. Yes, they get the win yesterday, 27-13. I think that was another game that I picked, by the way. 27-13. That was it. Tyler Lockett. Somebody leaned over. It was Tyler Lockett that leaned over in the post-game presser and said, "It's amazing what you can do when you don't have one person trying to get all the credit." I mean, you talk about a shot at Russell Wilson. And this goes back to, the Russell Wilson getting all the publicity because he's doing high knees in the plane on the way over, and talking about how he's got to be game on and ready. And, don't get me wrong, the Broncos got to win. They go to 3-5, 21-17 in London. They ended up beating the Jaguars. But, you talk about a shot, and then you find out, I mean, it's stuff that I think was already knowledge, but it wasn't made really public knowledge a lot and talked about until the last couple of weeks, when they're talking about Russell Wilson gets his own office and he gets his own people and staff and therapy. And, it's like, wow, Denver went all in on this guy. I mean, all in on this guy. And they're blaming Nathaniel Hackett, who is probably second on that team to Russell Wilson, power-wise. And, Russell Wilson he's not handling that particular situation very well. And, boy, you talk about the shots. Because remember, Seattle didn't even put up a fight. They didn't even put up a fight when it came time for him to leave. They're like, okay, see you later. And Geno Smith, you talk about the comeback player of the year. I mean, that guy at halfway point, that guy's got it going on. And you could legitimately start talking about him possibly being in the MVP before it's all said and done. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, man, he for what he's done there, he could certainly be in that discussion. 877-867-1670. By the way, the Twitter poll question right now, 283 votes. The question is, the Packers are at the unofficial halfway point of the season after last night. Do you have a legitimate hope for the postseason at all? 72.1% of you right now, after 283 people to vote, say no. 27.9% of you say yes. Continue to vote over there on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Let's get to the phone calls. Let's go to Eric, listening to us in Green Bay. Eric, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Going all right, Bill. How you doing, man? Happy Halloween.
You too, pal. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Hey, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid that you're pouring here with the wide receivers. I think that for one thing, anybody that says it's too late to bring a wide receiver in that's not familiar with the playbook at this time of the season, see Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he sure worked out pretty quick. Didn't take him too long to figure it out. And I think something that we saw last night is that Rodgers still has a hell of an arm, and he still has wheels. The 2 touchdown passes were absolute missile shots. So I saw some very encouraging things last night. I hope Watson isn't a glass tiger. Toure was able to get open. Dobbs made a heck of a grab. I think the penalty on Tunyon was BS, but let me ask you something. There's a train of thought out here that the Packers should be sellers rather than buyers. People are talking about get what you can for Rodgers and stuff. I think that's insane. I think they would be buyers rather than sellers. Out of the sellers that are out there, I mean, Washington's a dumpster fire. I would absolutely try to grab McLaurin. I thought he had a great interview last week. But I'm wondering about the tight end position. If the Packers tight end room was really so solid, would Mercedes Lewis still even be playing? And if the Raiders are sellers because they're a dumpster fire, would you go after Waller and try to shore up that tight end room in adding to the receiver receivers and weapons for Rodgers. And that's about all I got for you right now.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for taking my call.
Appreciate it. So first of all, if you could get a good tight end, yes, I would do it. To answer your question, I think what you first need is another wideout. That's the first thing. You need another wideout. I've said this before. I would have gone after one 2 weeks ago if I'm Brian Gutekunst. I would love to hear the reasoning why not. Now, I do understand it takes two to tango. But for what you hear for some of the, we'll say asking prices for some of the guys that could possibly be on the market, I don't know why you hang on to a second-round draft choice like Grim Death. Your track record's not great. Your third-round draft choices have positively sucked. So don't act like, oh, man, anybody in the top four, that's going to hit. No, it's not. And you need somebody now. You needed somebody 2 weeks ago to help you, to be quite honest with you. Now, if he's sitting there going, you know what, this roster, this isn't it. Okay, let's say that's the premise, that this roster is not the roster that's going to get you there. Then you're really effed, because you've built this roster to be years, not just a one-hit wonder. You're probably going to lose Bakhtiari at the end of the year. Aaron Jones, you got to figure out what you're going to do there. And by the way, trading Aaron Rodgers, you can't do it, because all that money then comes due, and you can't do that. That guaranteed money comes due, and you could possibly trade him after next year, or mid-season, but no, you can't. All that money comes due, and you'd bankrupt the team at this point. You'd have to start cutting guys. So that's why the whole thing about trading Aaron Rodgers and getting stuff for him, that's not going to happen. I just admit your mistakes and be a buyer. If you're right there on the tipping point, be a buyer. That's it. You discovered last night, oh, by the way, you can run the football a little bit. A.J. Dillon, he is clearly a number two. That's it. He's clearly a number two. He can get open every now and then. He can do a few things every now and then. But your bell cow, your playmaker is Aaron Jones. He was quick. He was decisive. He was elusive. Your offensive line, you would hope, keeping stability, would only get better. I thought Bakhtiari had moments yesterday that he looked pretty good. I was watching him yesterday specifically. He looked pretty good. There are moments on that offensive line, like one guy, like pretty consistently, one guy will miss somebody. You had a couple of plays called, really good plays, bad protection, bad downfield blocking, bad screen. The screen, which used to be the bread and butter of this team. Oh, God. You had two Buffalo Bills all over Aaron Jones and two Packer offensive linemen downfield with nobody in front of them. They whiffed completely on the screen. Otherwise, the screen's a first down. Keeps the drive alive. 877-867-1670. Tom over on the Bud Light live stream says, do you think they're one or two players away? I think that yes, to answer your question. I know that's crazy, but yeah. I think you get another weapon, you take a little pressure off of what you already have, and they're a couple of players away from at least being more competitive and looking better, and then anything can happen. 877-867-1670. You want to call in, call in. We'll get to Mike when we come back. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up right after this portion of the program, brought to you by our friends at Wabam. If you were out in Vegas over the weekend, the SEMA show is going on right now, and they are there. Our friends right here from Colgate, Wisconsin, out in Vegas, showing off the product, getting rave reviews from the car people out in SEMA, which is the biggest car show, I think, in the country, short of the Detroit Auto Show. But go to getwabam.com, getwabam, W-A-B-A-M, getwabam.com. That's getwabam.com, right here in the state of Wisconsin, whether it's janitorial supplies, cleaning stuff for your home, for your business, Or maybe it's for your car, your boat, your motorcycle, whatever it happens to be, your UTV, your ATV. Maybe you got your sled getting ready to go up north. All of that stuff. Maybe if you just want the snow to glide right off, put it on the skis, man. GetWabam.com. That is GetWabam.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Hey, remember I was telling you that the people from Pella Windows and Doors were here when I had purchased the new patio door, and I had that thing installed, and then they came and actually shot a television commercial. I saw the final edits of the it's not bad. I mean, I look hideous, but beyond that, it's not bad. So look for those to be hitting your television stream sometime soon from our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. In the meantime, if you're like myself and you keep, the cold weather is going to get here at night, it's kind of cool, but the house is still perfect right there at 69, 70 degrees, and it doesn't really fluctuate unless I move the needle. It's awesome, and it's very economical. I just got my first bill from the installation of the new door for the We Energies this past week, and it's about $8 to $9 cheaper than what it was last year at this time. Now the weather's a little bit different, granted, but I'm excited to see what the winter brings. And once your house is economical, it's more beautiful, it's more valuable. It's all because of Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. All you got to do is go to PellaWI.com. That is Pella, P-E-L-L-A, PellaWI.com. They had a big weekend, too, of trick-or-treaters on Saturday over at the corners of Brookfield. Near their, they've got a big experience center over there. They had a lot of trick-or-treaters, some happy parents who got 35% off installation as well, I saw. So good for them, and good for you if you were one of the lucky winners that got that won that with some of the scratch-offs. But go to PellaWI.com. That is Pella, P-E-L-L-A, PellaWI.com, or just simply call them, 855-PELLA-WI, 855-PELLA-WI. Welcome back to the program. Let's get back to the phone calls. As a matter of fact, an update on the poll question, 315 votes in. The Packers are at the unofficial halfway point of the season after last night. Do you have a legit hope for the postseason at all? 72.7% of you say no. 27.3% say, yeah, still got a little bit of hope. So hope is, at least right now, a quarter of the way when you look at 315 votes already cast. So if you want to chime in, by all means do so. Follow me over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels. Let's get back to the phones. Go to Mike, listening to us down in Whitewater. Michael, how you been, buddy?
Hey, Billy. How are you doing today?
Good, man. What's on your mind?
I'm talking about your last, just before you went to commercial, the whiffing.
Yes.
Talk about savage. Got beat like a drum. How
Yes,
does the deepest safety let people get by him? He doesn't tackle. He throws the shoulder at Josh Allen on that 20-yard run to the one. And another couple other times, he doesn't even tackle. He's throwing shoulders thinking they're going to knock somebody down.
It's funny, too, because he used to be a tackler. I mean, he came into the league, he was a hitter, and I really love that about him. And now he's like a shell of himself, just kind of throwing his body out. It's like they teach you not to tackle as a corner or as a safety so you don't get hurt.
Well, that's it. That he doesn't want a shoulder injury by wrapping up and going through the guys.
Yeah, I completely agree. He has become a defensive liability back there. I completely agree.
I mean, you watch the replays, and he's the deepest guy, and these guys are running past him, and lucky that Allen overthrew him.
Yep.
Or they dropped the ball.
No, I completely agree. I watched that last night, and I've been a defender of his because he has been in the past a hitter. But anymore, I'm baffled. It's like, are you that afraid of getting hurt? Are you playing not to get hurt? Because you're launching yourself as if to say, I'm going to be this human missile. I'll trip you, but I'm not really going to try to take you down. And it's a highlight reel of embarrassment for Darnell Savage Jr.
And he misses. You don't even touch the guy he's going for.
Right. Yep. I completely agree with you, man.
But and then the special teams reverted back. I thank goodness because I won the pool since he missed the field goal.
Well, it's all about the money and all about us.
Especially when they're losing, Billy, and I don't think they're going to make it.
I don't think so either, but if they make a move, they get a little excitement, who knows what can happen. If maybe they get all on a roll, they get healthy, and then a few of them around them start to, get banged up a little bit. Anything can happen. You still got 9 weeks left. That's a lot of football left to play.
Yeah, it is. And my Warhawks just lucked out with a field goal that hit the crossbar and went over for a 3-point win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, hey, they're still playing well, man. Yeah, as long as they're there and still in the hunt, you still got a shot. Mike, good stuff, buddy. I appreciate it. He drops off. You get on board 877-867-1670. RJ says Savage and Amos are not NFL quality starters at all. I don't say that. I like Adrian Amos. He's very quiet. He's your general on the field in the secondary. He's been so good. And just very quietly does his job. But I cannot for the life of me. First of all, we went back to yesterday. I don't know if you noticed on a 3rd and 6 where the secondary was playing 10 yards off. And the minute the ball was snapped, backpedaling. I hope somebody asks Joe Barry and says, Joe, when it's 3rd and 6, why are your guys playing 10 yards deep? Why are you giving up the first down and extending a drive and keeping your defense on the field? Joe, can you explain it? Or do you, Joe, not understand new math? Do you not understand it? Because if you don't understand it, then please get somebody, because that organization makes a ton of money. They're building parking garages. They're building all kinds of stuff up there around Titletown, right? Can we all agree on that, right? Yeah. Okay. Somebody buy that man a calculator. 6 minus 10 is -4. That's the amount of yardage you're giving up. Before the ball is snapped, you're already in the hole 4 yards, which means, Joe Barry's figuring it out. First down. That's a first down, Joe. 877-867-1670. Going to talk a little betting when we come back, get back into this. Hang in there. We got a lot to get to today. We got we got all kinds of stuff. We got to talk a little betting. Packers covered the spread, by the way, in case you didn't know. If you didn't have money on it, you didn't really care. But the Packers covered the spread. We also got Eric Branchek coming up at the top of the hour. We're going to break down some film and talk about a lot of these different things. We'll talk about the offensive line play. We'll talk about the secondary. We'll talk about the up front, the trenches, who was getting beat. Because it wasn't a bad day at the office. It just wasn't a great day at the office. But the offense is not doing much to help the defense. Second half of that ball game, they gave you hope. But can they do that for an entire game? 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. I saw they had Trick or Treat. They had some really good costumes out there this past weekend as well. Go out and say hi to Turtle. He dressed up as oh, God, Tom Hanks in, I can't think of the guy. He went running all across the country. Ben, help me out. God, but life is like a box of chocolates. Who was it?
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. He was dressed as Forrest Gump. Oh my God, he was dead on. He was just awesome and went running across the parking lot. It was hilarious. So if you go into Wisconsin Harley-Davidson, ask for Turtle and ask him to do his Forrest Gump imitation. Go to wishd.com. That's wishd.com.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
This fall, it's Give and Take at Potawatomi. Thursday nights, give yourself a shot at winning slot play or up to $5,000. And with 60 winners each week, you've got a good chance to take home your share of over $400,000 in prizes. Just play with your club card October 1st through November 17th for entries. The Give and Take Game Show, each Thursday and only at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino. More at pacebig.com/give and take. Must be 21 years old and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers lose to the Bills 27-17 before 72,000 fans at Highmark Stadium. There was pushing, shoving, and even trash talking in the tunnel before the game between Jair Alexander and Bills receiver Stephon Diggs, who says it dates back to his time with the Vikings.
I used to play them in the past, so it wasn't like something I anticipated him, doing the that he did. I didn't anticipate that. I don't give a who started. I finished it. I got the win.
Packers defensive back Jair Alexander.
Man, I was just keeping it real with him. That's all that was.
He said he didn't know who started it, but he said he finished it.
I don't know what he mean by that. I need more clarification.
Jair picked off Josh Allen, one of 2 interceptions by the Packers in the fourth quarter. The Bills quarterback says they were bad throws and talked about next having to face the Jets.
Those happen. We'll learn from it. Coming off a bye, at the end of the day, we're 6-1. I know we got a team that's playing really well next week in New York. So learn from this one, put it behind us, and look forward towards next week.
Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
We had a couple, nice interceptions there in the fourth quarter. I think all phases we got to improve the discipline a little bit, improve the discipline, and then just the details.
The Packers head to Detroit to play the 1-6 Lions and will try and snap this 4-game losing streak. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
Our guys are disappointed. I'm disappointed, but we've got to find a way to right this thing, and we've got an NFC North opponent next week, and I know that they're going to give us everything they got. It's going to be a heck of a test, and we really got to be more disciplined, be more consistent in order to try to get on the right side of one of these things.
That's Matt LaFleur. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you on board, our buddy Matt Mitchell. Old boy Uncle Mitch over on Twitter, the Action Network, now joining us on the hotline. You want to find us, you can hit us up over there on Twitter as well. And also, it's brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. Matt, what a weekend, man. The Packers finally covered. I don't know what that means, if anything, but at least they covered. You got a game tonight without Jamar Chase, and I don't know how much that's going to hinder the Bengals' capability to throw downfield, but the Cincinnati's favored by 3 going into Cleveland tonight.
That's right. Cleveland heads to a bye week coming up. Joe Burrow is 12-2 against the spread in his last 14. He's the most profitable quarterback since 2020, but he has never started a Monday Night Football game. He's also 0-3 in his career against the Browns. Our team likes Cleveland a lot in this spot. Divisional matchup at home, prime time. Crowd should be insane. They're in the mistake by the lake. I think if you can get 3.5, I think it's an immediate play. But even a flat 3 is a bet worth taking on Monday Night Football.
The Packers came out last night before the game was even over. They were 3.5-point favorites going into Detroit on Sunday, a place they've traditionally struggled. They've gotten wins, don't get me wrong, but it hasn't always been pretty. And the fact that, they still can't get over 20 points per game. Do you look at this game and go, you know what, I got to go Lions?
Yeah, they did seem like, as a Bills fan, it did seem like they brought a knife to a gunfight last night. And though they did get the cover, it was over pretty early in terms of whether that game was going to, be competitive. I'm a little worried that Detroit's quitting on Dan Campbell. They're not getting the results they want. It's a long and brutal season. They came out rah. They had the highest scoring offense for a short time. I think the bloom's off the rose now in the Motor City. I think it's a wonderful time to catch Green Bay potentially on a mini upswing as Detroit kind of circles the drain. I will say the Packers didn't look totally lifeless. I'm worried about the Watson injury. Obviously, there's not a lot of weapons there, but I think it's not the worst spot to back the Pack on Sunday.
Interesting one at noon as well in New York. The Jets hosting the Bills, and the Bills come out a 13-point favorite early on. Now the Jets. I get it. That whole rivalry with the Patriots, that whole thing played into a weird scenario, and the Patriots end up getting a win. Bill Belichick now number 2 on the all-time wins list. But the Jets are a pretty good team. Do we look at the Jets and go, you know what? Offensively speaking, their quarterback just now is not getting it done. Therefore, we give Buffalo that much of a nod in this one?
Yeah, Zach Wilson, by our experts' power rankings, depending on which expert you ask, is either the worst-rated starting quarterback or second worst starting quarterback in the entire league, which is really saying something. We got some really bad quarterbacks starting in the NFL right now. He's just kind of out to sea. The defense is great. The coaching has been pretty good. They lost Breece Hall, but they've traded for a new running back. But yeah, there's no respect for the Jets left in the market. The public was all over the Jets, and they got totally pantsed by Bill Belichick, who now off a loss as an underdog or a favorite of a TD or less. That's happened 48 times in Bill Belichick's career. He's covered 40 times. That is a remarkable figure for probably the best coach in NFL history, certainly beloved by gamblers. But yeah, I think the Bills are going to, as the kids say, send the Jets to God this Sunday and put up a real performance against Zach Wilson.
The other one that is a little surprising to me, I guess it's just because they're at home, but the Cardinals 2.5-point favorites against the Seahawks. The Seahawks are an impressive team. Geno Smith could certainly not only be inserted when it comes to the comeback player of the year, but also maybe even into the MVP for what they're doing out in Seattle, getting the win over the Giants, although we believe that the Giants are kind of a paper tiger. Same thing with the Cardinals. Kyler Murray looks lost. They paid him a ton of money. He bitched and whined in the offseason. He got what he wanted. And Cliff Kingsbury looks like this is it for him because this team is this is the tipping point. I really thought they'd play better in Minnesota. They didn't. Would you look for Seattle to go in there and get the win?
Yeah, I think we're watching the end of the beginning of the end for Cliff Kingsbury. He's been dreadful, probably the worst coach in the league after Halloween each of his seasons, both as a college coach and an NFL coach. He got in a pissing contest with his quarterback. And Kyler won. He got his big extension. You can't fire Kyler Murray. So I think everybody knows it's not working. It's a question of whether they fire him at the end of the season or now, regardless of his past quasi-successes. And I think the team might be laying down its arms for Cliff, and now is a good time to start fading him.
Awesome stuff. Matt, always appreciate it. We'll talk again on Friday when we start talking about the weekend and what's coming up, including the Badgers, okay?
Absolutely. Good luck, everybody.
Appreciate it, pal. There you go. That is our buddy, Matt Mitchell, the Action Network at Old Boy Uncle Mitch over on Twitter. Follow his stuff there. Brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com for everything that they have to offer. Potawatomi Hotel Casino. We got 3 more hours yet to go. I want to hear from you. We got some film observation from Eric Baranchek. That's coming up next on The Bill Michaels Show.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Green Bay Packers have now dropped their 4th straight game as they would fall in Buffalo 27-17 to the Bills. Aaron Rodgers, who threw for 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had 1 pick, says no one's going to feel sorry for them.
I thought we had a great week of practice. The energy in the pregame in the locker room was different. It felt like Packers again. I felt like for whatever reason, we didn't have the confidence for a few weeks. We weren't playing with a lot of energy. We weren't amped up before the game. So I liked the way we felt before the game. Maybe it's Sunday football. Maybe it was being counted out. Maybe it was this environment. But that's encouraging. But the play in the first half wasn't very encouraging.
The loss last night also ended Aaron Rodgers' streak of 13 straight wins in primetime outings, which had been the longest in the NFL since 1970. The Packers now, who sit at 3-5, will finish out their 3-game road stretch by going to Detroit to face the Lions this Sunday. To the NBA, following their 123-115 victory over the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday, the Milwaukee Bucks are the only undefeated team in the NBA, sitting at 5-0. They continue on their homestand as they welcome in the Detroit Pistons tonight for a 7 o'clock tip at the Pfizer Forum.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Powered by 14 points from Stephen Crowell, 10 from Tyler Wall, and 10 also from Connor Esijan. The Wisconsin Badger basketball team would have their exhibition game against UW Eau Claire yesterday, winning 76-45. Up next for Bucky, they'll host South Dakota on November 7th. And finally, Wisconsin football returns to action after their bye week. They'll host Maryland on Saturday. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
We certainly appreciate it. 877-867-1670. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show. And we have got our buddy Eric Baranchek joining us now on the hotline. So, Eric, I don't even know where to start. Last night was kind of a tale of two halves. They discovered the run, which is what we've been screaming about for now 7 weeks prior. Suddenly, Samari Torrey and Romeo Doubs look like maybe they could catch some passes. The offensive line still has misses that are problematic. The defense, the secondary, for whatever reason, has forgot how to tackle. I mean, where do you want to begin in this one?
Man, well, you just rolled it all out there, right? I'm not really sure, Bill. I still think the biggest issue that they have to get cleaned up is that offensive line. That's where it all starts. And if if Rodgers is going to feel better, and you can watch it, I had a guy ask me this morning, he goes, is Rodgers lost a step? Is that why he can't, step up and slide out of the pocket? I kind of laughed. I'm like, where's there to step up to?
Right.
I mean, the guards in the center is in his lap at the, darn near at the snap of the ball. So there's nowhere to step up to. So no, but they got to fix it. And then on run plays, it seems like they get it together, and then someone you get 2 or 3 good stretches there, good plays, and then someone inevitably screws up. And it's just, you kind of rack your head against the wall and wonder what the heck is going on. But if they're going to try to salvage what's left of the season, the offensive line has got to take a big step forward.
Okay, here's my question, because I watched yesterday, with an open eye, and then I watched it again this morning. And it seems like every time there was a impactful play, it was either somebody was out of position, or they just completely whiffed on a block, or a penalty. I'm looking for blame. I'm saying, okay, is this coaching? Is this not paying attention to detail? Rodgers said it was a great week of practice and a great coaching week. Because this is just unlike an offensive line that we've seen in the past. Is it just the fact that they moved so many guys around so often this season?
No, I don't think so. Because if you look at the last couple of seasons, especially last season, they held up with guys in and out of. I mean, at one point they were down Josh Myers, Elton Jenkins, and Bakhtiari, and they held up and they were good. And this year they got Bakhtiari kind of back and Jenkins back a little bit, and Josh Myers hasn't moved around, and they just can't get it fixed. And I don't, to me, honestly, something's, and I hate to do this because it's not really what my forte is, but the coaching staff's got to get that figured out, and they got to work really hard to make sure that they're getting the understandings of stepping with the right feet, and all those little things that aren't happening right now at the old. I mean, you're going to get physically beat. That's part of life in the NFL. I mean, everybody is good, so you're going to get beat on occasion, but just the multitude of guys getting beat and getting put on skates is tough to watch.
Again, last night you're watching the line get collapsed. Aaron Rodgers moving in the pocket, getting bumped by offensive linemen who are getting pushed back 3-4 yards back into him. So I agree with you. I think if you can clean up at all the offensive line and cut down on some of the stupid penalties, you're already in the ball game. Now the question is, this whole thing about does Gutekunst need to make a move? I still believe if you can get a guy that's on, say, a rookie deal, that's an impactful player, that give up whatever, because some of your draft choices, let's face it, third round specifically, just aren't panning out anyway. So why not go ahead and make a move, and at the very least start laying the groundwork for next year? Would you make a move?
I don't know if I would, but I you convinced me enough there. I guess the question you got to ask, and I would ask, is, say I got to give up a second round. We talked a little bit on Friday about Claypool, right? So do you give up a second round pick for them? So what you have to ask yourself is, 2 years from now, is Claypool better than the second round pick that I'm picking up today? You know what I'm saying? So I got a second round pick next year, and is Claypool going to be better than the second round pick that I pick next year? That's got to be the question. The other question that unfortunately is facing this team is money. There's money issues there, so they gotta be careful with what they do. And I know you need to have young guys come in and play and be successful, but I'm not so sure more than one. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're no players away. Maybe it's just they're gonna get that. Wednesday through Saturday has got to get fixed. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, this is where I ask myself: Is a second round pick better than Josh Jackson? Is he better than Elton Jenkins? That maybe would say Elton Jenkins has been pretty solid. He's been a Pro Bowler. Is he better than A.J. Dillon? Is he better than Josh Myers? Is he better than Christian Watson? I'd say, hell yeah, I'd give away a second round pick in a heartbeat, because what you've done is not much when it comes to the second round of the draft.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So, maybe. But, I guess if you're looking for an impact player this year, even if you bring in a vet or something like that, I think it's difficult to get it in. And a wide receiver, I think it'd be really hard to be super impactful this year. Next year, probably, but this year I think it'd be really difficult. It'd be an overall talent upgrade and ability to break off throws or break off routes, would probably be elevated. But I mean, really, when you're talking about with the offense, and you got to learn it, and you got to get with the quarterback, and he talks all the time about how they got to have a connection there, and that just isn't going to happen. I mean, you don't draft a guy and 2 weeks later he's catching 20 balls and going for 4 touchdowns. That just doesn't happen, I don't think. I'm not so sure that quite honestly, depending on the Devondre Campbell injury, everyone wants to talk about offense, but if he's going to be out an extended period of time, maybe linebacker is the spot you got to pick up.
Yeah. I also want to flip over. I want to go. You've got yesterday a couple of times third down, and it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 10. And you've got guys that are playing 12 yards back and backpedaling on the snap. Can you explain to me what the hell Joe Barry's thinking?
I don't, unless they're going to try and play man coverage there. I don't understand that there. I mean, really, the way that the defense is set up, it's set up to not let any big plays happen. That's the whole premise of it. And teams want to run. Go ahead, run. Eventually, you're going to get a holding call, right? Or you're going to jump offside. There's going to be a penalty. Now it's 2nd and 20 or 2nd and 15, and it's really hard to dig out of that. I mean, that's the whole premise of their defense. And to me, I just wish they were more attacking. You saw on occasion that they played some man coverage. They seem to be able to figure out how to take away that deep crosser at about 15 yards. They're running with that now. But it is perplexing sometimes that they just look like they're playing soft. And quite frankly, if they want to play that kind of defense, they got to be more like the Bills, where they can get after it with their front four. And the reality is they're not getting it out of the defensive tackles. They're not getting enough pressure out of the front, the 2 guys with their hands on the ground, to make the defense really go. And there's not enough pressure there. And if one of and quite frankly, the other part of it too, that looked real. Rashawn Gary looked like he was lit on fire for a couple of weeks there, and now he's kind of settled back down to earth. And I don't know if that ankle is bothering them or what happened, but I mean, they got to get more pressure on the quarterback with their 4 guys that are on the line of scrimmage. And if that happens, things will get a little bit better, I think. I really do. Then you can sit back and zone a little bit, but they're not getting after it up front, and that's a problem.
The tackling in the secondary, Darnell Savage Jr. yesterday highlighted a couple of times where he had open field. Either one, he was completely faked out of his jock and kind of threw a body at somebody just to say he did something, or just whiffed, or just arm tackles. This guy was a hitter when he came into the league. I love the fact that he was a guy that loved to get his nose in there. He looks to me like he's playing not to get hurt. Does it look the same to you?
Certainly, here's a great example. You remember the number 3 last night? His name is escaping me. That's safety for the Bills.
Yeah.
That guy was a hitter. He came up and laid people down, and you really wish you could see that out of Savage. And I was expecting. I think we were all expecting him to have a little bit different season than what he's putting out there right now. And playing not to get hurt, that's kind of that. I think that's pretty accurate. I just would like to see him break down or just run through a guy for a change. Would really be nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, DeMar Hamlin. That was the guy, DeMar Hamlin, number 3.
Yeah.
For Buffalo, DeMar
Yeah,
Hamlin.
he was a backup too.
Yeah.
But boy, was he a thumper. I like that guy.
Yep, no doubt. Obviously Quay Walker going out, that hurt somewhat. Stupid mistake. He talked about it, but after that, for the rotation the Packers had, I didn't think it was terrible. Losing Devondre Campbell, I thought, oh my God, here we go. They're just going to lose everything across the middle. They really kind of held their own. It wasn't terrible last night. Do we look at this and say, hey, this was something to build off of? Or do you look at it and go, you know what? That was probably one of the best games they played this season, and they still lost by double digits.
Well, they certainly kept it closer than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be a 3-touchdown game. I really did, especially after the first quarter. I'm like, oof, this is not boding well for them.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively speaking, I think I think McDuffie's a little undersized. He's a little sawed off, but you really like, or at least I do. I like that his motor is going, and he got home on he didn't get the sack, but he got a hit on the quarterback. Where when they the guy he's replacing runs a 4.3 or whatever the heck, 4.4, whatever the heck he runs, and he doesn't get home ever. So I thought that was good. He's a motor guy. Certainly was better against the run. I mean, Quay Walker won't step up into a hole if his life depended upon it. So that's kind of disheartening. Now, maybe as a sophomore season next year, he'll turn around. But I mean, right, he might be just trying to read too much. But there's no physicality there. I mean, he'll run a guy down, and it looks kind of impressive, but there's no physicality at the hole, and does not step up into blocks, and it's painful to watch. And it didn't take long. Play number 1 in the first series, they found where Quay Walker was, and they, cutbacks were designed to go right to him. They went right at him, and I really like, the Wilson kid. I don't know much about him. Seems like his reads were okay. Certainly not as fast as what they had out there, and doesn't have the size or the length that Devondre Campbell goes. So I think he's going to, the Packers are going to be playing the Lions, and they got that tight end there. That could be some problems. So if you got him in fantasy, I would definitely be starting that guy. But, the reality is they're not playing for a reason, and they're holding their own, and I think that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, my next question was going to be, what do you think the future of this team is? I don't know, other than maybe against the Lions, I don't know how many games they're going to be favored in, especially when they can't score more than 20 points per game. As much as we can look at this game and go, there's some optimism here, if you can't get past 20 points per game, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the average score in the NFL, average offense puts up 20 points a game, and Packers can't do it. So they're below average. And quite frankly, they're going to be going into Detroit. Those guys are playing hard. And I think and they run the football a little bit. They got some guys that can catch it. I think that's a buzzsaw waiting to happen right there. And in that, boy, you talk about a cherry on the top of a failure season is getting beat by Detroit. Holy cow. The good news is they got the Bears one more time, so that should probably be a pretty good outcome for them. But, the other thing, Bill, that I really wanted to talk about is you see their receivers now. They're 8 weeks into this thing, and they're starting to come around. I was happy with what you saw with Dobbs last night. The long one he missed. Some of that is confidence. But on a couple of other plays, I guess the wide receiver screen was really good. I mean, that was a design RPO, and the quarterback, the corner bailed on there, and he just broke it off to a flat pass and caught that, and the touchdown pass, and the way that Samari broke off on, or Torrey, the way that he broke off his route to catch that one in the end zone. I mean, those are positive things. That's what wide receivers are supposed to do. The problem is, when you're coming from the college ranks up in the NFL, it's really hard. There's the 3 positions that are hardest to play coming out of college is quarterback, obviously, offensive tackle, and wide receiver, because the mental part of the game is so vastly thick compared to in college where you just run by a guy. And in the NFL, it's very hard to run by anybody. And those guys, you have to be smart with your body control and your body positioning, and being able to read the field and read what coverage you got and break off. You hear about guys settling into a zone. Those things, you don't just roll out of the room and then learn how to settle into the zone. Those things are learned. And those are the hard parts about playing in the NFL that, physically speaking, you come out of college, you're probably dominant of the guy you're across, but not in the NFL. They're all really, really good players. And, those were some good things. There's going to be some more hiccups for sure, but that is positive to see that out there. And that's really good to see. And I hope Packer fans saw some of that and understand that, Devontae Adams, his first 3 seasons in Green Bay weren't exactly highlight reels. And now he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. And it just takes time. It takes effort. Now, whether or not these guys have the effort and they have what's under the left nipple to put in the time to learn and be really skilled at what they do is yet to be seen. But the signs are there that it's positive and it's sinking in. So I think it's important to point that out. And, hopefully they can block a little bit and they can show some of that off.
Yeah, I would love to see progression quicker, sooner rather than later in the wide receiving core. By the way, when you mentioned Devontae Adams, 1 catch, 3 yards yesterday, you talk about a guy that's probably regretting his decision to leave. Holy smokes. They're awful. That's a terrible football team.
Yeah, that was a surprise, wasn't it? I mean, you think you're getting McDaniel down there and that would turn things around and then you just fall flat on your face. Not good.
Nope, I completely agree. All right, buddy, appreciate it. We'll talk again soon, okay?
Yeah, thanks for the time, and hope you guys have a great week.
There you go. That's our buddy Eric Branchek joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. Always good to get him on board, break down some film. Yeah, you talk about Darnell Savage as opposed to Dallin, who you're watching over on Buffalo, the rookie out of Pittsburgh, and then you see Darnell Savage. I don't necessarily throw Adrian Amos into that mix. He's been pretty solid, but Savage is sometimes he was a guy that was a hitter. He was a guy that did all of that. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know where he lost his tenacity, but he's become a weak link in the secondary almost. 877-867-1670. Now it's time. Let's go back. We're going to get your phone calls. We're going to get your tweets, your emails, all that kind of good stuff. Hit us up over on the Bud Light live stream. Want to hear from you as well. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Albanese's Roadhouse, right there on Blue Mountain Road in Waukesha. And it's next to Menards, as a matter of fact. Open today at 4, all throughout the week, as a matter of fact. Monday through Thursday, they open up at 4 o'clock. They've got the Winter Bocce Ball League signing up. They've got the sports bar, Dominic Sports Bar. They do some catering. So much over there at Albanese's Roadhouse. If you're looking for good Italian food on the west side of Milwaukee, that is the place to go. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
In our own backyard, Humburg, Wisconsin, there's a third-generation family farm, Scholze Family Beef. They've been supplying us with great chop steaks, roast burgers, and so much more for a long time now. But did you know they've got a good old-fashioned family farm store right there on site? I encourage you, drive your truck or your car, that's good. But they've got ATV and UTV trails right there. So moto on up to the family farm store after a great day on the trails and get your grill on. Go to ScholzeFamilyBeef.com. That's Scholze, SCHOLZE, FamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good day to you. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. This portion of the program brought to you by a good friend over there at Dwayne's Cover It All. I was watching over the weekend, as a matter of fact, and he had posted some stuff from some office chairs that had been recovered to some stuff that he had done for somebody's boat. It was a fold-out seat. It was like a bench seat on a boat that you would fold out, and oh my God, the before and afters were just amazing. And I've been talking about that for a long, long time. Dwayne's such a good guy too. When you want to go to somebody that's not only really good at what they do, but they're just good people. Wisconsin's best canvas upholstery and boat cover provider. Go to Dwayne's, DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Call them 715-870-2119. You can ship it up there if you want to. You can ship it from anywhere in the state. You can drive it up. Meet them face-to-face, hand-to-hand, whatever. Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com, 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. Let's get back to the phone calls. And I guess after listening to Eric Baranchek talk and what needs to happen, some of the positives that came out of last night's game, and this is where we're at now. Okay, now think about this. Packers, every year you come into the season, you're thinking Super Bowl or bust, right? Yesterday, we are excited about some positives in a loss. The fact that they ran the ball. The fact that some of the young guys made some catches. The drops weren't nearly as prolific. You're still talking about a team that's penalized. Okay? That's penalized probably far too much. Which means you're out of place. You lose control of yourself. Things happen. But when you look at the penalties yesterday, 8 penalties, 58 yards, only 4 penalties, 35 yards. But a couple of those penalties, big penalties, they extended drives, and one of them cost the team a touchdown. So it's still not clean, detailed football. But yesterday we saw something that was a little bit better that maybe gives you a modicum of hope. But that's where we're at right now as a fan base. Let's go back to the phone calls. Let's go to Jim. Jim, welcome to the program, man. How you doing today? What's up?
I'm fine, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. What's going on?
Well, I'd like to talk about Aaron Rodgers a little bit. I think Devontae Adams is the one that really made Aaron Rodgers most valuable player. I think Devontae Adams should have been the most valuable player on the team at that time. Aaron Rodgers, to me, is just an average quarterback now because he overthrows a lot and he underthrows a lot. And until he wins 7 Super Bowls with 2 different teams, you can't compare him to Tom Brady.
No.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, buddy. He drops off. You get on board 877-867-1670. Now, that comment of he's an average quarterback, he's an above average quarterback. He's an above average quarterback, but he is, and yeah, he's had underthrows and overthrows. We don't know how the thumb is, and hopefully the thumb came out of that game pretty clean, and it continues to get better. But that pass he threw to Samori Toure was flicking it 50 yards on his back foot. The pass to Romeo Dobbs was on a rollout, and he flicked it, and there it was. The pass last week to Aaron Jones, dropping it right into the breadbasket to where only he could get it, in between double coverage. That was the thing of beauty. There's not many guys that can do that pretty consistently. And when you compare him to Tom Brady, I think in the comparison, you look at Aaron Rodgers and his numbers and what he's done, and you look at the technical side of things. No, he hasn't won the same amount of Super Bowls, but I'm not going to blame all that on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you go back to 2014. He wasn't the guy telling Ty Montgomery to go down. That was Julius Peppers. He didn't make the Micah Hyde mistake on the 2-point conversion. He wasn't Bostic going up for an onside kick. You know, he didn't do any of that. He wasn't the defense. He didn't play defense. I mean, you got to have a complete team. And I said this last night. Now think about this. And I had posted this. You know, leaders, they emotionally elevate guys. Okay, you can't do it for them, but you can emotionally elevate guys. You can help, and you can lower yourself down to their level to help them, to coach them and bring them up. Okay, there's a lot that can go a long way with really positive type of attitude, so to speak. Okay, you got to have the physical attributes, but you know what I'm talking about. But Brett Favre won a championship with Reggie White. Aaron Rodgers won a championship with Charles Woodson. Where is the leadership on this team? Who's that guy? I thought Za'Darius was that guy. Za'Darius got that defense up. They were playing the Smith brothers together. He pulled Preston Smith along for the ride to be a leader. And Preston Smith became the leader. But once Za'Darius left, you don't hear all of this bravado. You don't hear all of this brimming confidence. This, you know, you don't hear it. You don't get it. You know what I'm talking about, right? Who's the leader? Adrian Amos is quiet. Kenny Clark is quiet. You can't be a leader if you don't play well. Dean Lowry's too up and down. Jerron Reed's new. Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, those guys, they're rookies and showing it. Devondre Campbell, kind of your leader, kind of, right? The guy that does yap a lot is Jair, but you need that guy in the middle. You need that pass rusher, that bulk, that dude. You don't have that right now. Rashawn Gary goes about his business and plays well, but you don't have that leader. 877-867-1670. Let's go to our buddy L listening to us in Philly. L, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, pal. What are you thinking?
First of all, these people with this whole Aaron Rodgers crap, man, like, leave Aaron Rodgers alone. Listen, as a fan base, I got to say this, and I live in Philadelphia, and there's some real ruckus and bad fans here, but Green Bay fans are so spoiled, man. So spoiled. Like, how dare you sit up here and talk about Aaron Rodgers? Yesterday, to be honest, he played well to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he really played well, considering the circumstances. He didn't have any bad throws yesterday, besides the one that was tipped that was intercepted. I mean, that pass he threw to Dobbs over there in the corner, the pass he threw to Samari, like you just said earlier. The other ones, they were on time. He was getting the guys that were open when they were open. But if you look at the, I'm quite sure you look at the tape, those dudes were covered.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? A good portion of the game, and he took what what they gave him. But also, I was just going to say, it seems like it's light at the end of the tunnel with this. I've called you before, and prior to that, just been screaming for them to run the ball. And of course, LaFleur has been lying to us, saying, "Oh, we're going to put our best players on the field, and we're going to utilize, 33 and 28." And they haven't utilized them. They have they have under 10 carries or whatever. Now you see, finally, when you run the ball, what can happen. And it has so happened to happen against arguably the best team in the league with the best defense. You run for over 200 and some odd yards. So hopefully we could use this as a measuring stick of what we're capable of doing if we just stick to the game plan and allow the run, who was pretty much our best, the two running backs are pretty much our best two skill position players as we speak today. Let them set up everything else, because then you could do play action after that and, work off of that. But, I'm definitely looking positive for, the future, and hopefully we can squeak into the playoffs. But I will say on the defensive end, listen, Gary, I'm about to call you Gary. Bill, you definitely hit the nail on the head, man. It's a head scratcher where you've seen this defense from last year, how they are aggressive. They were in people's faces. They attacked to now a ball carrier would get the ball out the backfield or a catch, and they just stand there and just try to react off of them instead of just attacking them and just go to make the tackle. Like I've seen Adrian Amos do it yesterday. Darnell Savage, he's been doing it all season. I don't get it. I don't understand what this dude Joe Barry is telling them. They'll sit back, they'll play sticks coverage, and then move back 3 or 5 yards from the sticks once the ball is high.
Yep.
Like the whole purpose of you playing stick coverage is to cover the sticks. What are you doing?
Yeah,
so,
I don't get it.
But and then it gives a false sense of the defense playing well when you get 2 turnovers and you hold Buffalo to 3 points in the second half, which is good, but collectively the defense isn't playing well. And I just feel like they definitely need a shot in the behind or someone new to come in there and what's the name. But listen, I just wanted to ask you this real quick. I'm not really familiar with the college football scene or whatever in Wisconsin or whatever, but I hear you guys before they were saying how they wanted Jim Leonard, the guy that coaches Wisconsin, to come in and be a defensive coordinator. Do you think they have a chance of doing that in the offseason, like luring him away from there? Because I know he's the coach now, the interim coach.
Yeah, I think Jim Leonard, I think the reason Jim Leonard stayed in college is because he knew eventually he was going to be the head coach of the Badgers, which is where he played, and that's what he wanted. So I think I think that's the reason Jim Leonard decided not to take the job in Green Bay.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon, man. Good call out of Philly. Good call. By the way, when you talk about Rodgers, if he doesn't, when you think about this for a minute, if he doesn't have the batted ball that ends up being a pick, his quarterback rating ends up being a 105.2. Really 105.3 if you round up. 105.3. That's a really good game, quarterback-wise. 19 of 30, 203 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. The batted ball in the air that ended up falling into the arms of the defender, that ball is the one that brings him down to a 90-something, whatever he ended up at yesterday, 91.4. Otherwise, he ends up with a really good game as a quarterback.
It's probably his best game of the season.
Yeah.
No?
Yep. I would agree.
Even given they had open shots throughout the first half, it just wasn't blocked well.
Yeah.
Like Zach Tom was getting toasted up there when dudes were open.
It was, and think about this. I mean, the positive to take away also is that was the number 1 rush defense in the league. And you racked up 208 yards on them yesterday. Even if you take away the Aaron Rodgers run of 11 yards, you still racked up 197 yards on them. I mean, that's saying something. You were able to do that. Your offensive line opened some holes, and Aaron Jones did the rest for the most part with 143 yards and 7.2 yards per carry. But it was almost like defensive philosophy was, you can't throw the ball. We'll just take away whatever you think you can get downfield. We'll just let you run for a while and take some time off the clock, but we're just going to drill you with our own offense, let you take time off the clock because you can't play catch up. So I'm really now interested to see what happens in Detroit and if the Packers stick with a similar game plan. But I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of the program. Play action and such for this Packers team is non-existent. Maybe a play or 2 per game, but there is nothing. It is straight, line it up, not a lot of motion. Here you go. But I did like the fact that Rodgers was under center more, which gave you a little more thought for, defensively speaking, to figure out for that split second mentally what was going on and whether or not Rodgers was pulling the ball or not, and some of the throws that they had. I thought the game plan itself was pretty solid. It's just, man, the offensive line is just so, 1 or 2 guys here or there just so blow this thing up. You just get rolling and then boom, somebody misses an assignment. And Rodgers talked about it. I mean, I can point at 2 or 3 specific assignments during some of those screens where guys just flat out whiffed. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, go ahead and do so. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. We're right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Nah, man, I was just keeping it real with him. That's all that was. Just being honest, you feel me? That's all I can do.
He said he didn't know who started it, but he said he finished it.
I don't know what you mean by that. I need more clarification.
Do you know who started it?
No, I don't either. I finished it.
All the guys here. Second quarter begins, 2nd and 1. Allen shot to the end zone. Touchdown! Brought in by Stephon Diggs.
Welcome back to the program. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire Service, just north of 94 out in Johnson Creek. As a matter of fact, I had gotten some tires from them, and you know this because I talk about everything, but I got some tires from them. And this past weekend, ran over a nail. And it, like, I don't know what it did to the tire to where it, like, tore on the inside. But I called Lyle up, said, hey, I got a nail. He said, bring it on out. First thing, brought it out. And they're like, new tire, here you go. Don't worry about it. No charge. And it was under warranty. So, hell yeah. Even when things like that happen, you're good to go. So I was fired up. When you, a couple of different things. And I want to get to some of the people that are over on the Bud Light live stream. But funny how McCaffrey can come to a new team, the 49ers, and be a pivotal factor, yet players already there in Green Bay can't figure it out since being there from the beginning of the season. I agree with you. Now, McCaffrey's a veteran player, okay? So this is why you can look at this and say, you know what, if you bring in a Chase Claypool, somebody that already has some vet skills about them, but yet they're young enough to be a dynamic player with good ball skills and such, they should be able to come in and figure it out. Or a guy like an OBJ, which I don't think he's coming here. But I agree. This whole thing, I mean, what Shanahan did was first of all, McCaffrey started studying the playbook on the plane, spent the whole weekend with the head coach and a play caller. So he had about 20, 25 plays that he was already up to speed on. Then this week, they just said, let's use your athleticism and use your dynamicness. And that's what they did. You had a coach that schemed for the talent he has rather than saying, let's fit everybody into the scheme that I want to run. You may not have the talent for that. Boy, there's a difference, isn't it? 877-867-1670. Also, our buddy Rick says, I was looking at the Vikings schedule. They look as if they will get at least the number 2 seed. William says, two best passing offenses in football are the Bills and the Chiefs. Neither team has a single receiver drafted in the first round. To me, it's not about finding the first round guy. You know, it's to me, it's not about that. It's about the development of those guys. Who knows? Christian Watson gets through the injuries this season. He still may turn out to be some kind of a receiver. You know, Romeo Doubs could still end up being one of the best receivers the Packers have ever had. He's starting to kind of get it, you know? As you see that, maybe that, I mean, because like, you know, Eric Branchek said earlier, look, Devontae Adams, hell of a receiver, but he wasn't that way the first few years. And then he emerged as that guy. But it's very difficult to ask rookies to come in and be that kind of an impactful player. It just doesn't happen. 877-867-1670. We're late. We were late for a break before. I got to take a break now. We'll come back. We'll get back into the phone calls. Hang in there. This portion of the program brought to you by, again, our friends at J&L Tire Service out there in Johnson Creek, just north of the highway. Go to jnltire.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated.
That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or pirate ship or a sports themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers lose to the Buffalo Bills 27-17 in a game that got chippy right from the start. Rookie linebacker Quay Walker ejected after tackling former Georgia running back James Cook on the sidelines, then shoving a Bills practice squad player, Zach Davidson, who was in street clothes, Walker at his locker after the game.
So I was making the tackle on the sideline on my former teammate, and felt somebody pushed me from behind, and I probably misinterpreted on what it was, and I just reacted out of emotion. But right away, as soon as I did that, I apologized to the guy that I did push.
Matt LaFleur.
Like I told him on the field, I said it's always the second guy. You got to keep your poise, and that's something we talk about, we stress all the time. Guys around the league losing their mind. It's an unfortunate lesson that he's got to learn. That's the kind of stuff that I have zero tolerance for.
The Packers lost their other inside linebacker, Devondre Campbell, to a knee injury. Wide receiver Christian Watson suffered a concussion. When their pass protection broke down, the Packers switched to a ground attack with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, which racked up 208 yards on 31 combined carries and kept at it, even down by 17 points. Bills linebacker Von Miller.
I was shocked that they ran the ball so much. They had Aaron Rodgers, and I was just expecting him to have a little bit more control. So I was kind of anticipating him passing the ball a little bit more, and they just kept running and running and running. And I think that we're up by 17 points, and they got to start passing the ball soon, but nope.
So up next, the Packers head to Detroit to face the Lions. Left tackle David Bakhtiari.
Obviously, we did pretty good lining on the running backs, both AJs. Take a look at the film, get a better idea. But at the end of the day, we got to get done. We're 3-5. This is L in the L column. I'm not going to sit here and look at moral victories. We got to be better.
That's Packers left tackle David Bakhtiari. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Good stuff, Mike. Thank you very much. Back at it with our friends from Quick Trip. Don't forget about the opening drive contest. Only at Quick Trip. Stop in, type in your quick rewards as you're getting some gas. We all need gas anyway, right? Stop in at Quick Trip. Type in the quick rewards number. You're automatically registered. You know what that means? If your name is drawn in 1 week, one name a week is going to be drawn for the opening drive contest. And if your name is drawn, then for every yard garnered by the Green Bay Packers, you get $10. It's that simple. And if they score, $5 in the pocket. Not a bad way to go. I mean, you may not hit the lottery for $1 billion, but not a bad way to go if you can get at least 10, 20, 50, $60 in your pocket, something like that for the Green Bay Packers, maybe $5 for fuel, because the gas took another jump over the weekend. Got down, it's about $3.39. All of a sudden, it's $3.59 again. Went back up. Stop in a Quick Trip. Good stuff. Whether it's to pick up donuts, hot food, cold food, stuff for your tailgate, whatever it happens to be. That's our friends at Quick Trip, always trying to help you out, and a proud partner of the Green Bay Packers. So good stuff from our friends over there at Quick Trip. This one's from Jake. Jake says, hey, Unit, I think they need 2 wide receivers, not just one. But Gutekunst is never going to do it. They only have $7.5 million under the cap. They would have to start restructuring deals right now. Not going to happen. I think this team is going to stand pat. We're all going to scream for Gutekunst's head. What happens next year when it's same old, same old? Do we then say that Joe Barry is the problem, because we all know he's going to be gone at the end of the season? What next for the Green Bay Packers? Is this a mediocre roster that continues to get worse? There's a lot there. First of all, if the Packers don't make a move, I'll be honest with you, I thought they would have already made a move. I thought if you were going to make one, you'd make one last week or the week prior. You're trying to get as much as you can out of somebody to get them in, to get them acclimated, to maybe get you ready for this particular game. I know that the rumor mill has been filled with Green Bay Packers are making calls. Well, what are you doing? Are you making calls to see if people are available and then hanging up, calling it a prank? Just because they see the 920 area code? Must be the Packers. Hey, is Chase Claypool there? Is he? Is he running? And then hang up the phone. Are you calling to see if guys are legitimately available or just not? 877-867-1670. I agree. I really thought the Packers would have made a deal already, to be honest with you. Just my thought. Let's do this. Let's get back to it. Let's go to Gerard, our buddy from Delaware. Gerard, what's going on, man?
Hey, Bill. I was looking at this and I was thinking about this morning. They spoke about Watson like he was Randy Moss. Oh, we had plays for him. Oh, if he was on the field, we lost him. You had Rodgers and LaFleur talking about him. Here's a guy who dropped the pass. That would have been a touchdown against Minnesota. That could have turned that game and maybe the season around. And then he can't get on the field. Did they think we're really stupid? And then the other thing I want to talk about was, remember the 80s? I was always sitting here and I'm going, oh, well, if they get this player, they need one more player, they need this. No, they had total dysfunction then. Total dysfunction. And I hope this doesn't turn into the Charles Martin situation. The way they're getting chippy, the way they're talking, all the nonsense they're starting in now.
Mm-hmm.
You remember what he did, right?
Yeah,
Charles
yeah.
Martin?
Yep. Jim McMahon was never the same.
This is what I'm worried about. Yeah, I'm telling you. And another thing, that this guy, LaFleur, is starting to remind me of Lindy Infante. That's who he's starting to remind me of. And remember Lindy Infante came in, oh, he's this great offensive coordinator, everything else, blah, 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 blah. And the first thing Wolf did when he came in was get rid of him.
Fired him, yeah.
Okay.
Right away.
And this is, I'm looking back and I'm trying to compare situations and what's going on. Everything you said is correct. Everything a lot of callers said, not everyone, but a lot of them said is correct. You know what that means? It's totally dysfunctional. Because we're seeing this part, this part, this part, this part, and this part. It's totally dysfunctional. Okay. Now they start running the ball. After how many weeks we've been saying, get under the center and run the ball. So now they start running the ball. So what happened, Bill? We seen it weeks ago, and they're just getting around to it.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Gerard, we're at the top of the hour, man. I appreciate the phone call, and I'll kind of start out the next hour with just that. Stay tuned. Everybody over on the Bud Light live stream, stick around. I'm going to continue to get to your comments as well. Packers lose. By the way, Bucks playing tonight, taking on Detroit, the only undefeated team in the NBA. Very quietly flying under the radar right now. You've got to the World Series starting back up again this evening as well. Ben Kenny sitting in the studio right now holding his breath. Hopefully he doesn't pass out. Got a lot of other stuff going along. And by the way, one of the most spectacular finishes to a NASCAR race I think I've ever witnessed. We haven't even talked about that. You got 4 players from Michigan State. Now possibly charges being filed against them for beating the hell out of a Michigan player. That went on over the weekend. There's a lot to go. Stay tuned. Whole lot more coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers have lost 4 straight games for the first time in 6 years. That's after a 27-17 loss at Buffalo last night. Packers were down 24-7 at the break. Game was never truly in doubt in the second. Aaron Rodgers threw for 203 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Aaron Jones ran for 143 yards. Romeo Doubs had 4 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. The defense did pick off Josh Allen twice in the second half, including one by Jair Alexander. Still, it came in a loss that saw Coach Matt LaFleur's club drop to 3-5 of the season as they get ready to head to Detroit next week.
Our guys are disappointed. I'm disappointed, but we've got to find a way to right this thing. We've got an NFC North opponent next week, and I know that they're going to give us everything they got. They always have, and it's going to be a heck of a test, and we really got to be more disciplined, be more consistent in order to try to get on the right side of one of these things.
Injuries also hit once again. Bondre Campbell, inside linebacker, left, as did outside linebacker Preston Smith. Meanwhile, linebacker Quay Walker got ejected from the game for pushing a staff member on the Bills sideline. Again, it'll be the Packers and Lions next Sunday. Turning to Wisconsin, they're getting back to work today to start preparing for Saturday's game against Maryland. The Terrapins come in 6-2 and just outside the AP Top 25.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Bucs get a look to stay unbeaten tonight when they host the Pistons at Fiserv Forum at 5-0. They are the only team without a loss this year, and Wisconsin beat UW Eau Claire 76-45 in exhibition action yesterday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Hour number 3 of the Bill Michaels Show. We are glad to have you. Glad to have you. The Packers right now, they sit at number 11 out of 16 teams in the NFC. Number 11. Okay? They are behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are behind the Los Angeles Rams. They are behind the Washington Commanders, San Francisco 49ers. And then you've got the Giants, the Cowboys, the Falcons at 4-4 because they're a division leader. Seattle at 5-3 as a division leader. So you got Philadelphia 7-0, the Minnesota Vikings, who would be a 2 seed right now if the playoffs were today, followed by Seattle and Atlanta. Your wild card teams, Dallas, New York, and San Fran. Then you got Washington, LA, Tampa Bay, and Green Bay. Now, the Packers win the tiebreaker over New Orleans and Arizona based on the best winning percentage in the conference. Divisional tie would break the initially used to eliminate Chicago, and then obviously, more down the road. But they've beaten the Buccaneers, which means if it comes down to exact records, it would be the first win percentage within conference games, and then the fact that the Packers beat them head-to-head. So then you move up. But you've still got the Rams who are at 3-4. They've got one game less. Packers haven't had a bye yet. So we'll see what happens with the Rams. The Commanders got a tiebreaker. San Francisco would win the tie over Washington based off the best winning percentage in conference games. But you've got to get at least 3 more wins and hope that Dallas or the Giants or San Francisco begin to stub their toe. You really believe that Washington is not going to be there. Washington with Taylor Heineke, look, a tremendous story, but I don't think they're going to be there in the end. The Rams, they could be, but they seem to be flailing. They seem to be a team that may not even make the postseason. Tampa Bay is foundering terribly at this point, and they're very much like Green Bay at 3-5. Can the Packers, do you have a little bit of hope? Do you have a little bit of hope? They have the Lions next up, and then the anxiety hits because into town rides Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys.
Let's just state the facts. I'm a highly successful NFL head coach.
He has put the train back on the tracks. It has not left the station. It's back on the tracks. When it comes
See
to
what
the
Jerry
Dallas
said
Cowboys.
yesterday?
About what? The running game?
Yeah, about Zeke.
Yeah, Zeke is the man. Jerry needs to stop. Did you see Tony Pollard? The quickness he brought to the table? The way he was able to run? How quickly he hit the hole? He added a whole new dynamic. Now, there's nothing that can't be said that Zeke can't get carries and Pollard can't get carries and, you can't work it the way they do in Green Bay. But to say that it's Zeke's job and his job alone, Jerry's an idiot. Jerry needs to shut up. Somebody needs to tell Jerry, you need to sit down. You need to stop. Because he gets in his own way. But you can get a win against the Lions next week. Get a game within 500. And then if you come in and play that same way, run the ball well, do things right, maybe start to put it together. Let's just say, Ben, that think about this. What if they lose to Detroit in a close one and get blown out by Mike McCarthy? And they are sitting at 3-7 after the Cowboys game, which in essence, your season is over. You're 10 games in. This is not going to happen. You're done. Do you think getting blown out by the Cowboys is enough then at that point to say, okay, wait a minute, we got to make changes?
Oh, it's the Wisconsin getting blown out at home to Illinois with Brett Bielema equation.
Right?
Someone is going to go. You would think Barry would be the first in that scenario mid-season, but I don't know. I don't know who would be the first. I don't know what the tolerance is because it's not like you have an athletic director there, right? That would have the power over the coach.
The tolerance behind closed doors at 1265 is the best adjective I could describe is minimal for where they're at. I go back to the Jets game when they said the wheels are going to start coming off if they lost to the Jets. I can only imagine what the feeling is because we haven't really seen that team since, because they were on the road in Washington and Buffalo and now in Detroit. And we have not really had a chance to see a lot of these guys up close and personal when you're walking into the doors and you get a chance to talk to some of the people in front office. So I can only imagine that it's mayhem right now, panic, frustration, anger, a lot of the stuff that Packers fans are feeling. I can only imagine that. That's if you lose to Detroit a team that is flailing and at 1-6. If you lose to Detroit and get blown out by the Cowboys, I think there will be a few heads on the stick sitting outside of Lambeau Field. You cannot not make a move. You cannot not make a move at that point. Because otherwise you're telling your fan base you're just accepting the status quo and you're going to watch the ship sink, and maybe you'll make some moves in the offseason. You didn't give them confidence by making any trades at the trade deadline. You didn't give them any confidence when you hired Joe Barry. You didn't give them any confidence when you went ahead and botched this whole situation by kissing the ass of your quarterback. So in essence, you let go of one of the best wide receivers in the league. You know, you've tried to handle it the best you can. You did an amazing job being able to cut as much salary as possible and figure out how to kick the can down the road as much as you possibly can. So in essence, you can actually field a competitive, what you would consider to be a competitive team coming into the season. For all of that, I give you a lot of praise. But where you're at right now, something is innately wrong. Hopefully they get it right this weekend. I'm just giving you the what ifs if things go horribly bad. 877-867-1670. After 415 votes over on our Twitter poll question, the Packers are at the unofficial halfway point of the season. After last night, do you have a legitimate hope for the postseason at all? It's staying pretty steady. 74.2% are saying nope, no hope. If you want to vote, go ahead and do so. Find me over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Hit us up.
Is that hope to get to the playoffs?
Just to get to the playoffs. Yeah.
Oh, man. Because I feel like even if they do, and maybe I'm a negative guy today because I'm going through it, but even if they get to that point, wouldn't the games look a lot like they did last night in Buffalo, where maybe if Rodgers plays, the best game and they run the ball well, they can keep up? But how does the defense consistently stop the great offenses the great teams have?
Mm-hmm.
Where it feels like they're kind of running a marathon up a cliff against the good teams on the road.
Cheddar Balls say the Packers brass going to have egg all over their face if they lose to Fat Mac at home. Heads will roll. Heads will roll. Bill, you would have to trade for someone with a lower contract price for this year and next without Rodgers retiring or back getting let go. They're going to be out of cap space. No, if you trade for a guy that's still on his rookie deal, like if you went after, let's just say Chase Claypool, I think he's only owed like $1 million. You've got 7.5 right now, and I cannot imagine that contract is of David Bakhtiari is going to be just kept. There's no way. You gain $6 million if you let him go. I think right now David Bakhtiari is playing for a job someplace else. That's my opinion. That's just where I'm at. There's no way you're going to pay him that amount of money that he's owed coming into next season. Andrew says, when it comes to the Packers, sure could use a bye week right now. Yeah, you got that right. You got that right. 877-867-1670. Back to the phone calls. Let's go to Charlie. Charlie, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Hey, Bill. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
So first thing on the trading portion, I wonder if Frank is just really bad at it, bad at making trades, bad at offering it up. Because I'm not really surprised nothing has happened because we always hope that something will and it doesn't. Regarding the playoffs, I still have hope with my thought process. And like you've been saying, don't care about the regular season. It's about what happens in the postseason. They're not definitely ready for that yet, but it's about getting hot at the right time. Mm-hmm. If the defense comes together towards the end of the season, we can make a run. And even last night, I thought that looked a lot better than the previous 3 games. Obviously, we don't want to be in this situation that we're at, but a couple of those poor reffing calls go the wrong way or go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Tanyan's call, the one on Rasul Douglas, they catch the illegal motion at the beginning of the game and that first touchdown by the Bills. All of those kind of added up, and good teams can overcome that. We're not a good team right now. Those go our way, And at the end, we just need to get a touchdown, and we're right there to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills did take their foot off the gas a little bit at the end, but I mean, it was not nearly as bad as it could have been. And so I think that we still have some hope. Yeah, it'd be awesome if Gutekunst actually did something and got Chase Claypool or one of the other wide receivers out there to kind of bolster that wide receiver room. But Amari Torrey, I think he did a great job on the couple plays that he was actually targeted.
Right.
So build on that and just kind of get the confidence going with those guys and get healthy. We'll see what comes from there.
You would appreciate the phone call. You would love to see them add one guy, though, just to give a good guy. I'm not talking about just going to get a guy. I'm talking about somebody of substance. DJ Moore, Chase Claypool. Even if OBJ is ready, if he would end up coming here, then again, you're going to have to pay him quite a bit of cash. But all of that, you're hoping that somebody of ilk would come here to take the pressure off of the young guys, and therefore the young guys don't have to be the man. Because right now they have to be. Because Sammy Watkins not the guy. He's not even a shell of himself. And, like you said, if you go back to some of the penalties, yeah. But the problem is it woulda, coulda, shoulda. I mean, was it a push off from Robert Tonyan? Yeah, it was. Anytime you extend your arms, it's a push off. He knows that. He kind of did the get off me fly. And I applaud it because he was the bigger, stronger cat. But you can't get your arms out there like that. You can't give that kind of a shove. There were so many things. You could throw a dart at a dartboard at this point and come up with a problem. And I just keep thinking to myself, there is something wrong. Because I can't believe that we didn't look at this roster and go, you know what? After last year, a defense that was creeping up on the top 10 and people are becoming believers in Joe Barry and things were looking good up front. You just needed another piece or two in the trenches. You were going to be really good. Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker. Quay Walker's a guy can play sideline to sideline. He's going to be good next to Devondre Campbell. That's great. Now you got Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary. That is great. You got somebody alongside Kenny Clark now other than just Dean Lowry. That's great. Lowry coming off a pretty decent season last year. You bring in TJ Slayton with a big body and he's going to progress in year two. You've got your one of the best, what we believe to be one of the best secondaries in the league. It's back. Stokes had a tremendous first year. Here comes Jair Alexander. Savage is a hitter. Adrian Amos is your field commander. This is great. Things are setting up wonderfully. You re-sign Rasul Douglas, who had this interception resurgence with the Packers and in Joe Barry's defense last year. This should be really good, and it sucks. So either you and I completely blew the call, or there is something innately wrong behind the doors of 1265. An offense that was going to be creative without Devontae Adams, even though they said 75 to 85% of the offense goes through Devontae Adams. At least now you can just spread the ball around. They were undefeated without Devontae on the field. This is going to be great. You run the ball a little bit more. You do different things. The offensive line is completely solid. One of the best pass blocking offensive lines in all of football. And it's not. Like overnight, this team forgot how to play fundamentally sound football. It cannot be you lose a boisterous leader in Zadarius Smith and it all goes to crap. And even Zadarius is like, hey, I was slighted behind closed doors, man. People walk past me, wouldn't even talk to me anymore. Is that what's going on behind 1265? Is that the kind of treatment guys are getting? You got to be silent. You can't talk. That somebody's a leader and we can't say anything, and we're not allowed to speak. And is that what we've come to? Because I'll tell you this: Zadarius Smith is kicking ass over in purple. 33 pressures, 7.5 sacks on the season, and he's the vocal leader of that defense. Who do you got over here? How bad did you screw the pooch there? It's just something is innately wrong. Even Rodgers said it last night. It finally felt this week like Packers again, like we're the Packers again. Well, what were you up until this point? Church ladies? Is there something wrong behind closed eyes? To me, I think To me, it's not about the talent. It's not about who sucks and who doesn't suck. To me, it's about it's kind of like think about it this way. You got a big giant pot of clean water, right? Clean water. Freshwater pond, okay? Freshwater pond. And then the sewage plant blows a leak and the poop gets into the pond. And no matter how hard you stir it or you try to clean it, you're always going to have poop in the pond. It seems like somebody's pooped in a pond. Like something just is clouding everything and it's not clear and you need to remove the plant. What is the plant? What's the sewage plant? Is it Joe Barry in that defense? Is it the fact that you lost Nathaniel Hackett? Maybe he was the brain trust behind everything, behind Matt LaFleur. Is that the reason Matt LaFleur looked like he was ready to cry or just got done crying at a halftime interview? Or is it just a bad allergy season in Buffalo? Maybe the mist coming out of the Niagara Falls was blowing into his grill. Something is wrong. I can't put my finger on it. But you need something. You need a spark. And what you need is somebody in your front office to say, I believe in you. Here, we're going to get you this guy. I believe that you guys can still turn this around. Something to bring it together. Because right now, it's just, you can throw a dart at a dartboard and say this sucks, and you wouldn't be wrong. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
for a few weeks. We weren't playing with a lot of energy. We weren't amped up before the game. So I like the way we felt before the game. Maybe it was Sunday football. Maybe it was being counted out. Maybe it was this environment. But that's encouraging. But the play in the first half wasn't very encouraging.
Welcome back. Those are the words of Aaron Rodgers. Felt like Packers again. I said the NFC, I still believe the NFC relatively wide open when it comes to the NFL, when it comes to the NFC. Now, I want to go over, because off of Twitter, Don says the NFC is bad. I wouldn't say that. The Eagles and the Cowboys are good teams. Giants are playing good ball and are 6-2. The Vikings are a good team. The Packers haven't and won't beat any of those NFC teams. 2 NFC East teams are going to be in the playoffs. That's what it looks like right now. Okay, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but let's go through this here. Okay. Now you've got your 4 leaders: Philadelphia, Minnesota, Seattle, and Atlanta. Are the Cowboys a really good team? We thought they could possibly be a Super Bowl team at the beginning of the season. Okay, you just the Cowboys. Just when you start to believe in the Cowboys, then they punch you in the face with mediocrity or sub-mediocrity, and they revert back to being crap. So I'm holding my breath on them. But beyond that, do you believe that the Giants are the team to beat? I find that looking at the remainder of their schedule, they've got the Texans. That should be a win. They've got the Lions. That should be a win. But they got to play on the road against the Cowboys. They still have the Commanders twice, which they should get wins there. They're going to get beat by the Eagles. They have to play the Vikings. They got to play a bad Colts team, and then they got to play the Eagles again. So they're a 6-win team, 7-win team, 8-win team, 9-win team, 10-win team. They're probably about 10 wins. 11 if they beat the Commanders. Okay. So Packers aren't going to get to 11 wins. That would be your second wild card team, the way it stands right now. I wouldn't totally disagree with that. I just don't know if I would say that they are that solid team, you know? You look at a team like, let's say, okay, who's below them? The 49ers. 49ers are somewhat schizophrenic, but they've got the Chargers coming up. I think they can win. They've got the Cardinals coming up. All 3 games are at home, by the way. Chargers, Cardinals, and Saints. I think all of those games are winnable. There's 7 wins. The next 4 are at home. 5 are at home, as a matter of fact. Wow, how's that happen? Chargers, Cardinals, Saints, Dolphins, Buccaneers. They could win all of those games. On the road against the Seahawks, tough. Commanders, Raiders stink, and then the Cardinals again. That Cardinals game has to be on the road. That's got to be a typo because they can't play the Cardinals twice at home. One of those 2 is on the road. Anyway, my point being is they've got a lot of wins in them. Tougher schedule, but they've got wins in them. They could overtake with 4 wins right now. But if you look at the Green Bay Packers and their schedule, and you say, okay, the Lions win, Cowboys loss, Titans can run the ball, and the Packers stink at protecting it. You know, think about it this way. Derrick Henry yesterday ran for 232 yards again. There's no way. They play in Philadelphia, no. At the Bears, they can win that one. Against the Rams at home, Rams are flailing, but it's probably the best of the 2 bad teams. Rams get the nod. On the road against the Dolphins, no. Against the Vikings, no. And then with the Lions at home to end the season, that'll be the Jordan Love game. So with 3 wins right now, 3, 4, maybe 5 wins on the season, the way they're playing right now. There's hope, there's a possibility, but I think this is, to use the Mike McCarthy after Brett Favre left the team and then wanted to come back and they closed the door in his face. I think the possibility of the postseason for the Green Bay Packers, and I hate to do this because for 2 things. One, my own personal feeling, I want to see them make the postseason. I said all along, I don't care about the regular season. Just get to the postseason and show me something. Well, they're probably not even going to get there. And 2, it's bad for business. It's bad for business in Green Bay. It's bad for business around the Packers. It's bad for my business if they're irrelevant. Because then people find other things to do on Sundays. They go to different places. But to borrow the Mike McCarthy phrase, I think the train has left the station. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, do it. Annie says, you can't say as a Packers fan that we have not had a chance at home field advantage or division champions or a chance to make the Super Bowl. We had opportunities and chances last year. We blew it. Annie, I would agree. Completely agree. Also, Greg says, Goody and the loss of players has the same feel as it was with Stearns and Hader. I agree. Tidbit says you sound like Clark Griswold. Hallelujah, holy blank. Where's the Tylenol? Right? This team will do that to you. I completely agree with you there. 877-867-1670 if you want to call in. Phone lines are wide open. Mark over on Twitter says, the train has left the station. Never wanted to hear that again, but I couldn't agree more. Dawn says, Packers not beating the Vikings. Rodgers has struggled against the Vikings when the Packers were even good. No way they're beating them now. There you go. No way. Ain't happening. Let's go to Sherman. Sherman, welcome to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. What's going on, man? What's happening?
Hey, Bill. Look, I got a different take. You know what I'm saying? I was watching the Giants, the Jets, and the Commanders or the Commodores, whatever they're called. Aaron's thumb was obviously bothering. He was throwing the ball short. We watched this cat for 15 years, and we saw last night he still got an arm. He can still throw it, like you just said, 50 yards off his back foot. So I was encouraged that, first of all, his thumb and his throws are better. Second of all, I'm listening to everybody talk about wide receivers. I think the Packers' problem is the offensive line. And just watching that kid, Oliver, I had never even heard of this kid last night on Buffalo. And he was just bum rushing Tom and coming up the middle. And this kid, Russo or whoever he was. And it's like, okay, we let Billy Turner get out of here. We let Lucas Patrick get out of here. Elgin Jenkins and David Bach are coming back off ACLs. And the line is a mess, and we moved Stenovich up to OC. And we got a lot of young guys that don't seem to understand leverage. And if Aaron got pressure coming up the middle, he can't step up and throw. So we don't know whether the receivers can get open or not because Aaron ain't had time to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so everybody just go to this, well, the receivers ain't open. Well, I don't know if they have a time to get open because the line ain't giving him time.
Right.
On that one running play, 3rd and 1, what's his name, just crashed the whole line down.
Von
Miller.
Miller.
On number 40. Yeah. How you just crash the whole line like that? So, I have a different take. I was encouraged. I remember being 4-6 and running off 6 and winning the Super Bowl. If they can get the line straight, where this cat can have time to throw the ball, I have a little more faith in LaFleur's offense and Aaron Jones running the ball. And I was glad Torrey got in the game last night because he seemed to understand how to break off a route. And Rodgers seemed to appreciate that. So hopefully, and I was glad to see Amari Rodgers catch a ball or two too. Hopefully that'll help his confidence. But I'm not giving up on these cats, man. There's 9 games left.
Right.
If we can get to 10 wins, we the playoffs, and ain't no telling what might happen.
Appreciate
that's all
Sherman. Appreciate the phone call, man. Keep hope springing eternal. Absolutely. I will say this: if you fix the offensive line, and for whatever reason, it becomes solidified. For whatever reason, if Stenovich says, I'm putting down the play calling or whatever it is that he does with Matt LaFleur now, and I'm going to go back and with Butkus, we're going to work with these guys, and this offensive line is going to get fixed. We are going to be able to do this, okay? We're going to make Yosh Nijman our right tackle, and he's going to get it. We're going to make John Runyon an integral part of this thing. Josh Myers is our call captain. He's the leader. He's the guy that's got it going on. Zach Tom, love you, man. Still need some work. Hopefully we get Elton back. We should be good to go once he comes back and solidifies that left guard position. And Bakhtiari with another game under his belt. Take it easy. Rest it up. Hopefully you look good and you continue to progress. If this thing then solidifies, I would say I would agree with Sherman. You've got hope. Because to me, it always starts in the trenches. Always. Because if you can get the offense going, now I will also say I predicate this upon if the offensive line gets it together and they make a trade and they make a deal and bring in a veteran, you can't tell me, we're happy with what we have. That's like saying, hey, we're going to build a little fire so you can make some s'mores and throwing a flaming bag of crap up on your porch. No. Don't tell me that's a nice little fire. That's a fire full of blank. Stop. That's what you got with your wide receiving core and the retreads and going on a cheap and the whole thing. You still got a fire, but it's a flaming bag of crap, and we all know it. Period. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gene Adela in the title tones featuring Wayne Larrivee, Jason Wilde, and Mark Tauscher. Game Day Bus, take 47.
Let's all take the Game Day bus to Titletown. Let's go. Wayne, Tausch, Wilde, haven't you been practicing all year? What if I said Pella fans can get 0% interest for 48 months on any replacement project right now? Yeah!
And there is your Pella.
Can he say that? Isn't that trademarked?
His paycheck for this says otherwise. Speaking of catchphrases, we call this the Pella Now Pay Later option. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin's experts stop by for an in-home consultation. They'll help you choose the perfect windows for your home. The installation is completed with no hassle or mess, leaving only perfect results while you put no money down, make no payments, and no interest for up to 4 years. Schedule your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Expires 10/31/2022.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
I think Aaron Rodgers is done after this year.
Do I think he's done playing football?
Yeah.
No, I think he signed his name on a contract that's worth
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying this is a guy that's also.
I don't think he's done playing football. No. Not at all.
Okay.
Those are the words of Charles Woodson saying, no, he's not done. He's got 50-some million reasons to come back. I'll give you a few good reasons. Great food, great atmosphere, televisions, good Bloody Marys. But even better, they got ice cold tappers, and that is our friends over there at the Sunset Grill in Pewaukee. And a hell of a view when the sun goes down. When the sun sets at Sunset Grill, nice view over the lake with the docks out there and everything floating right in front. Yeah, not a bad place to go. And it's going to be beautiful the next few days. So if you're going to be heading out, maybe you want to go out and enjoy lakeside dining a few more times this year before they call it quits. That's the place to go. Sunset Grill on Pewaukee Lake. Stop in and tell them we said hi. As to say, you heard it here. Sure. Rick says, if I was going to make a trade, I would look for a run-stuffing nose tackle. We have Clark and a bunch of dudes. Isn't it amazing that Dean Lowry 1 year is so good, and then the next year gets blown up, and the year after that, pretty good, and the next year blown up, and just, it just doesn't seem to be consistent, so to speak. A couple of things, by the way. We got stock up and stock down coming up here momentarily. But just an FYI, the Michigan player that was beaten up in the tunnel after the game by 4 Michigan State players, he has gone out and found an attorney, Tom Mars. He's going to file charges and recoup money damages after being assaulted in the tunnel by the Michigan State players this past Saturday night. So I have only seen like a blurry film of this. Ben, have you seen the footage yet?
I've seen a lot of angles. Yeah, it's been all over. It's hard to see a lot of big bodies moving around, but
he was clearly getting wailed on. I mean, there was guys that had a hold of him in the tunnel.
Oh, there were 2 of them. There were Myles Garrett with their helmet smashing him. Yeah, it's not it's a tough look. I guess is the best way to put it.
Oh, it's horrific. I mean, you don't do that, especially start wailing your helmet at somebody. there's just some things you don't do. So let's do this. Time now for some stock up and stock down. Ben?
It's time for Stock Up, Stock Down.
The key feature here is speed, trying to follow what's going on in the market so that we can anticipate and catch trends as they occur.
From this week of football.
Well, you know what? I'm going to get out of football for a minute. I'm going to say stock up. Chastain. Did you see Chastain? Did you see the final lap of the NASCAR race? Ross Chastain, what he did was he couldn't get around, and he needed speed. So he thought, if I put it into the wall and just floor it, I can rub the wall, but I'll be going 230 miles an hour around the wall. The wall will keep centrifugal force from having me fly out or crash. I'm already into the wall, so I'll just race along the wall. And he did it, and he came in, what was it, I think 4th or 5th, and he's now in the chase for a championship. It's I've got friends of mine that are like racing guys that I texted last night. I said, have you ever seen this before? Nobody's ever seen it before. I mean, I saw the guys from Road America posting it. I saw my buddy Steve Zotke posting it from the Final Inspection Show. I saw buddies of mine that are longtime race fans, announcers, all that kind of stuff that said they've never seen anything like this in all their days, where he just opened it wide open, put it into the wall, raced along the wall as the only friction slowing him down and keeping him from flying out of the racetrack, and raced around everybody and ended up coming in 3rd or 4th or 5th or something like that in the race. And now he's actually in the chase for a championship next week at Phoenix. If you haven't seen it, it was amazing. It was, you know what? I'll do this. I'll just retweet it right now. There you go. I just retweeted it. If you haven't seen it, I'm like, oh my God. It's amazing. It's like he's running. It's like somebody sped up the video, but it's not. It's just a guy that's flat out wide open when it comes to the carburetor, just wide open in this thing and beating people. It was amazing. Ben?
I've seen it. I don't get why everybody doesn't just do that.
Right?
There's probably a really simple answer, but I'm going to not seek it out.
At the end of a race, I guess, but you couldn't do it for an entire race. You just burn everything up, your tires, everything.
I guess that makes a little bit too much sense.
Yeah.
Stock up, Mr. Geno Franchise, the man who is locked up comeback player of the year in the NFL. He just keeps winning.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants go into Seattle. I think I'm going to adopt the Seahawks as my third team this season. Yeah. I love what they're doing. You get Russell Wilson out. Everybody's happy. His shtick isn't working in Denver. And Geno Smith is coming up and winning games. So they're legit first place.
I'll go also stock up. And I'm going to say Tony Pollard, 14 carries, 134 yards, 9.4 yards per carry. 9.4 per carry, 3 touchdowns yesterday for the Dallas Cowboys. Big day for Tony Pollard, although right away Jerry's like, no, it's Zeke. Zeke's our guy. He's our plow horse. He's our bell cow. Zeke. He eats brisket with me every Friday night in our pajamas. So Jerry says no, but at least Pollard had his day to shine. Ben?
Bill, stock down, and maybe you disagree, but Brian Gutekunst, clearly the defense that was assembled has a lot of potential. There are guys that have been all pros or whatever, and they're playing terrible football, and it's hard to explain. But when I look at this draft class, and I know it's early, and it's probably too early to say this, but he entered the draft with 2 1s, 2 2s, a 3, 2 4s, a 5, and 4 7th-round picks, and he's come away with almost no instant impact players. Like Devontae Wyatt hasn't seen the field. Quay Walker, I love his potential, but he's clearly not there yet. Christian Watson has been banged up, so I don't know if you could slight him for that, but he trades another 2 to get Watson. It's like this team needed help now, and almost nothing from this draft is helping.
Sucks. Sean Ryan not seeing the field. Romeo Dobbs starting to come around, but he's still a long way away. Zach Tom's giving you some snaps, and maybe he'll emerge into something. They were really high on him coming out of camp. Ngabari at least has given you some sacks and some stability on the outside with some injuries, but Tariq Carpenter, Jonathan Ford, Rasheed Walker, nothing. Samari Toure, you got to wait and see if he can back it up with any kind of additional instinct down the road. Was it just a good turnaround, or was it something that he actually witnessed and he's smart enough? I agree with you. Stock down would be Brian Gutekunst at this point. No doubt. I'm also going to say stock down. Stock down Davante Adams. What the hell? Drops yesterday, contested balls, 5 targets, 1 catch, 3 yards. 1 catch, 3 yards. That's like, man, just unheard of. Unheard of for Davante Adams. Talk about stock down. Just awful. There you go.
Bill, stock up here this week is actually me. It is a banner week. At least I have activities to do every night. Obviously, we're carried with the World Series and Thursday Night Football. But next Saturday coming up, this is like a true Christmas Eve kind of, I won't be able to sleep before it kind of Saturday. Tennessee, Georgia at 2:30, number 1 versus number 2. Bama, LSU at night in Death Valley. See if Bama can keep rolling. This could be the greatest week of my life, if we're being completely honest.
I will say that'll probably be one of the only times I root for Bama. And I root for Bama in like a dominating, ass-kicking performance against Kelly.
Mr. Kelly's winning.
I know. I don't doubt him as a good head coach. Never did. He's just a jag of a human being. And ever since he adopted a Southern drawl, I can't figure out who the hell he is. But, yeah. But I will be rooting for Bama in that game as well. No doubt. Also, when you talk about stock up, stock down, stock up, Tyler Haneke got the win yesterday, a comeback win yesterday. 6 carries, 29 yards, also plunged into the end zone. Had a 98.7 quarterback rating, threw the 1 pick, but nevertheless threw a big touchdown pass as well. 23 of 31, 279 yards. Taylor Heineke, how about that? Stock up right now for the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, he's impressive. He's got the heart. I've got nothing else. I just like Mel Tucker. What are you doing? Michigan State's a disaster.
Right.
He lost his composure after the game too. He's slamming his fist into the door. Like, how if you lose your composure in that setting, how the hell do you expect your team not to as well? It's a true Juwan Howard situation unfolding in front of our eyes. And then teams that make trade deadline deals, playing pretty good football. Funny how that works.
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, let's see here. Teams that have made trade deadline deals. The Eagles, they're going for it. The Chiefs, going for it. 49ers, going for it. They've all seen benefits for making a trade deadline deal. Cowboys, going for it. They made it as well. When you look at the teams that say, yeah, we got a legitimate shot, we're and when you talk about the 49ers are now 4-4. It's not like the 49ers were, 7-0 or 6-1 or 5-2. I mean, they're 4-4 right now. With the win this past weekend, they were sub 500 and went for it because they believe it's a winnable division. I would have made a deal 2 weeks ago. I cannot fathom for the life of me why they treat draft choices like they are gold when all they do is turn to crap. Or they take so long to develop and you don't have that kind of time. Do you not realize the circumstance and the situation you are in? I don't know. There's a level of frustration, both as a fan and analytical side, that just make me go, what the hell? What the hell? 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, here's Mike Clemens.
The Packers lose to the Bills 27-17 before 72,000 fans at Highmark Stadium. There was pushing, shoving, and even trash talking in the tunnel before the game between Jair Alexander and Bills receiver Stephon Diggs, who says it dates back to his time with the Vikings.
I used to play them in the past, so it wasn't like something I anticipated him, doing the that he did. I didn't anticipate that. I don't give a who started. I finished it. I got the win.
Packers defensive back Jair Alexander.
Man, I was just keeping it real with him. That's all that was.
He said he didn't know who started it, but he said he finished it.
I don't know what he mean by that. I need more clarification.
Jair picked off Josh Allen, one of 2 interceptions by the Packers in the fourth quarter. The Bills quarterback says they were bad throws and talked about next having to face the Jets.
Those happen. We'll learn from it. Coming off a bye, at the end of the day, we're 6-1. I know we got a team that's playing really well next week in New York. So learn from this one, put it behind us, and look forward towards next week.
Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
We had a couple, nice interceptions there in the fourth quarter. I think all phases we got to improve the discipline a little bit, improve the discipline, and then just the details.
The Packers head to Detroit to play the 1-6 Lions and will try and snap this 4-game losing streak. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur.
Our guys are disappointed. I'm disappointed, but we've got to find a way to right this thing. And we've got an NFC North opponent next week. And, I know that they're going to give us everything they got. It's going to be a heck of a test. And we really got to be more disciplined, be more consistent in order to try to get on the right side of one of these things.
That's Matt LaFleur. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back, and don't forget about our friends at Boondocks Barbecue Burgers and Brews. They've got some things coming up out there in Oconomowoc. November 7th, they have the wine dinner going on, and then you've got the Widows Weekend, as we all know. That is November 19th, Saturday, November 19th. They call it Tipsy Painting Party. In other words, there's a little wine. They're going to bring in somebody that's going to teach you how to maybe do a little painting, and as the wine begins to flow, we'll see what kind of paintings actually. Maybe it looks like some kind of screwed up Monet or Picasso type of painting by the time it's all said and done at the end of the night. But that's going on out at Boondocks Barbecue Burgers and Brews. You can find them over on Facebook. You can follow a lot of their stuff on Facebook. Boondocks BBQ and Brew. Boondocks BBQ and Brew. Or just go to boondocksbbqs.com, bbqs.com. So there you go. Good stuff out there. They got a lot of fun events happening. Coming up the next hour, we're going to hear from Mike Clemens. He's going to be joining us here in a short bit. We'll talk with Mike about what he witnessed yesterday. And now what? Got one here from Maxie. Maxie says, I don't have much hope. You know why? Because the Packers are not going to do anything. Mark my words, Brian Gutekunst is not only asleep at the wheel, they value their own draft picks so much more than everybody else does. We can see the results. Why can't they? Doesn't give me much faith in the brain trust behind the walls of Lambeau. There you go, Maxie. Maxie, appreciate the email. You can hit us up over on Twitter if you choose to do so. 466 votes have been cast. After last night, do you have a legit hope for the postseason at all? Wild card, whatever. 74% of you right now, after 466 votes have been cast, 74% say no. There you go. Stay tuned. Another hour of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers have lost 4 straight games for the first time in 6 years. That's after a 27-17 loss at Buffalo last night. Packers were down 24-7 at the break. Game was never truly in doubt in the second. Aaron Rodgers threw for 203 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Aaron Jones ran for 143 yards. Romeo Doubs had 4 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. The defense did pick off Josh Allen twice in the second half, including one by Jair Alexander. Still, it came in a loss that saw Coach Matt LaFleur's club drop to 3-5 of the season as they get ready to head to Detroit next week.
Our guys are disappointed. I'm disappointed, but we've got to find a way to right this thing. We've got an NFC North opponent next week, and I know that they're going to give us everything they got. They always have, and it's going to be a heck of a test, and we've really got to be more disciplined, be more consistent in order to try to get on the right side of one of these things.
Injuries also hit once again. Bondre Campbell, inside linebacker, left, as did outside linebacker Preston Smith. Meanwhile, linebacker Quay Walker got ejected from the game for pushing a staff member on the Bills sideline. Again, it'll be the Packers and Lions next Sunday. Turning to Wisconsin, they're getting back to work today to start preparing for Saturday's game against Maryland. The Terrapins come in 6-2 and just outside the AP Top 25.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Get insurance from a company who knows Wisconsin and cares about your community. You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer, but did you know they also offer competitive home and auto rates? Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more about products and discounts.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Bucs get a look to stay unbeaten tonight when they host the Pistons at Fiserv Forum at 5-0. They are the only team without a loss this year, and Wisconsin beat UW Eau Claire 76-45 in exhibition action yesterday. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Got Mike Clemens coming up here in about 15, 20 minutes. Stay tuned for that. Pay a little bit more attention to what was going on behind closed doors. But I'll tell you this, the going back and watching that game, I'm kind of going over a few things. People saying, well, you know what? Tanya didn't push off. Yeah, he did. I didn't like the call. I'm not saying that I agree with the call, But I'm saying technically, yeah, he did. Anytime you extend the arm or arms, man, and you go and a guy falls backward or goes in an opposite direction, you're going to get called for that. That's it. It's that simple. You get called for that stuff. It just happens. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, do it. 877-867-1670. It's, where is your level of hope is the best way to put it. Mark says a lot of these players worry more about what they're wearing into the stadium and what they're being photographed in than they do actually playing the game. It's become a thing. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that they don't care. I wouldn't go as far as to say they don't give a damn. That's not it. I wouldn't do that. But you're right. I mean, you're right in the sense that is now something that guys look forward to. Rodgers goes with his now kind of, I don't know what it is. I don't even know what the hell that look is right now. It's like he wants to be a part of Hogwarts or something. I have no idea. Some guys come in suits because it's a business trip. Some guys want to be fashionable. Guy like Travis Kelce, man, he's wild and he's out there. They want to wear, $2,000 shoes and jeans and that. I don't care. That's okay. Hey, as long as they play well, I don't care. I don't care what they wear. Jesse says, yeah, Cam Newton cared more about what he was wearing than how he played. Cam Newton, after he lost in the Super Bowl, was never the same player. And you're right. I always thought Cam was more about Cam and the fashion than he was anything. Marcy says, this is the reason Giannis just wears sweatsuits. All he wants to do is play basketball and not be a fashion icon. That's true, too. Giannis, they make fun of Giannis because he's one of the most underdressed guys. He's the highest, one of the highest profile, most prolific players in the NBA, and he just walks around in sweatsuits. All he wants to do is ball out. That's it. It's not about fashion. It's not about making statements. It's just about balling out. And I get it. Some people like that. Some people don't. To me, it's like whatever, What else do we have here for you? This is this Mark? Mark says, I give the Packers a lot of credit for at least playing hard last night. This team looked overwhelmed at times. And did you see yes, I did. I saw the halftime, interview, if you want to call it that, with Matt LaFleur. I thought Matt LaFleur either just got done crying or was crying or was about to cry. It's just the way it looked. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just simply saying that that's the way it looked. That's the way it looked to me. He looked emotional, might be the best way to put it. 877-867-1670. You can hit us up again, 877-867-1670. Let's go to Mike, listening to us in Cudahy. Mike, how you doing, man? What's up?
Hey, guy, how are you looking?
Good today, Mike. What's up?
Just as a side note, athletes are athletes, and they're going to be who they are. They follow their star. Whatever makes them feel comfortable, you can't judge them. You know what? If life was boring, basically everybody would be the same. So it is what it is. The two things I want to point out before I let you go here, Bill, is one, we paid Aaron Rodgers $50 million a year. That doesn't leave him a lot of space to sign 1, 2, 3-year contracts with superstars. We took away his security blanket, which was Devontae Adams. Okay. And we're so decimated with injuries. I mean, if you really think about it, look at where the Vikings are right now and look at where we are. It's flip-flopped almost. Mm-hmm. So we need to just go with our strengths with the running game. Hopefully, I don't care if they sign another wide receiver or not. It's too late in the season to have them on board. To get all these other injuries healed up and playing at full strength. until, hopefully postseason. But you know what, Bill? Think about it. We blew the NFC Championship game with a 13-3, 13-4 record, 3 years? What's going to change? What's going to make it any different than what it was before? And now we're even more decimated. So you got to look at everything realistically and not through rose-colored glasses. So that's my statement.
Nope, I appreciate it, man. I get it. I completely understand where you're coming from. In other words, you're saying, hey, look, the team's worse than it was when we lost in the NFC Championship game. Therefore, we shouldn't be outspending any draft capital because, first of all, you can get younger guys that are wide receivers on bad teams that can come in and help you because it won't cost you much. That's the best way to go. Because it'll cost you, $1 million, $2 million tops, as opposed to, say, going out and signing a guy like OBJ who thinks he's worth anywhere from 10 to 15 million, which you're not going to be able to give him. So I completely understand that. But if you want to get at least a shot to get to the postseason, you got to make a move. You got to make a move in some way, shape, or form. Just a shot to get there, right? Dan says, I just feel that the defense constantly looks lost, losing people over the middle. I don't think Barry is the guy to fix all of this. Offense, I was glad to see that they did a couple of rollouts and got Rodgers on the move. They need to do more of that. The right side of the O-line looks so bad. They can't stop somebody from walking through the gap. The offensive line just looks bad in general, whether it's around the right side, up the gut. It hasn't been cohesive. And sometimes it's just a matter of getting back to being familiar. But going back to the making a deal or not, why not get a proven guy that's only got maybe a year left on their rookie deal, a proven guy, versus hanging on to draft capital that you don't know if it's ever going to pan out, or it's going to take you 2 to 3 years to get there. You don't have that kind of time. You've set yourself up for a different timetable than everybody else. And let's be honest, the drafts necessarily haven't been great, right? If I gave you right now a number 2 draft choice, okay, a second round draft choice, or Chase Claypool, which would you rather have? Chase Claypool with the remainder of this year and next year on a rookie deal, and then pay the man, because you were going to pay Davante Adams anyway, right? So why not? Then pay the man, or I'll give you Christian Watson, Josh Myers. Josh Myers been solid. A.J. Dillon. He's solid, but he's not your bell cow. Elton Jenkins, he's been really solid. So linemen been pretty good. How about Josh Jackson? How about Josh Jones? Maybe Kevin King. Jason Spriggs. Quentin Rollins. The last time you really hit on a big-time wide receiver at number 2, 2014, that guy was named Davante Adams. It's the last time. Otherwise, you got a Jarrell Worthy. Randall Cobb was a second-round draft choice. Mike Neal was a second-round draft choice. Brian Brom, Pat Lee, Brandon Jackson. Greg Jennings, not a bad pick at number 2. Nick Collins was a future Hall of Famer at number 2, right behind Aaron Rodgers. Then again, so was Terrence Murphy, a number 2 draft choice. You see what I'm saying? Number 2s have been hit or miss for this team. Don't hang on to it like it's a guaranteed Hall of Famer. I'd take Claypool all damn day. All day. There's Cooks with Houston. That's another one. Been kicked around out there as far as whether or not he'd be available. But all damn day. I know, I get it. You gotta draft well. You gotta draft well, and You got to hit on them, and you keep your team. If you hit on 2 or 3 straight years of 3 or 4 guys that are starters and 2 or 3 guys become Pro Bowlers, and you keep that payroll down, and you have your young quarterback, it all comes together. You've got a shot at a run. I get it. But you don't have 3 and 4 years right now. You got 1 and 2. You don't need guys that are going to be better in 3 years. By then, it's done. By then, your run's done anyway. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Don't forget about our friends over there at the Social House, Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls. They had a big Halloween party over the weekend. I saw some of the pictures. Stopped in yesterday. There's pancakes, Bloody Marys. Everything was flowing. Pancakes were free, by the way. If you buy the cocktail, all good stuff. Stop in and tell Dan Dell and the gang if you're going out tonight for the Monday night game. Maybe you're going to watch the Bucks and the football game tonight. Tell Dan Dell and his staff we said howdy. Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls. That is the Social House, Haus. Mike Clemens going to join us next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Extra offensive lineman as well as Cook will get the first down and much more. About 16 yards for the national champion. And he has had 3 nice carries in a row. Finished him off. A flag comes down late as Quay Walker and Cook in conversation.
I feel like we playing football. It's the National League. These are the best players against the best player. It's going to get chippy. It's going to be a little holding and stuff. Sometimes you just got to let them play. It's the league. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is the top of the top. You can't call it like this no middle school game or no high school game. This is big right here, you know what I'm saying? So you got to call it like that. Let people play. As long as it ain't egregious, where it's like, all right, he can't make that play because you grabbing him or you holding him. It's like, all right.
Welcome back to the program. Packers lose last night. It got chippy. It was ugly. It was an eye-opening experience, I guess, at the end of the ball game. Packers ended up playing a little bit better. They ran the ball more effectively, but ultimately a loss is a loss is a loss. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at the Milwaukee Admirals. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. Single game seats now available. They've got a lot of promotional nights coming up, and you can get some season tickets as well. They've even got outings. So if you want to bring a bunch of friends, you can do that. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. We bring in now our buddy Mike Clemens. Mike-O, how you doing, pal?
Good. Man, I got chippy before the game even started in the tunnel with the players.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What was it? Jair and Stephon Diggs, right?
Yeah. And from every angle that I saw and from reporters that were there in the tunnel, it was Diggs that started it. I mean, it's the home team has to share that same tunnel from the north end with the visiting team. And it's Diggs who kind of seeks out 23 and starts getting in his ear. And Diggs, who I think has got a touchdown like every time he's played the Packers dating back to his time with the Vikings, including last night, was asked about this when he got on the podium in the Bills' winning press conference.
Past history with you and Alexander from the NFC North days?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, a little bit. I haven't really thought about it, you know what I'm saying, because I haven't played the back.
Before the game?
Nah, I wasn't thinking about it like that because, I mean, my opponent changes each and every week as far as, like, I used to play them in the past. So it wasn't like something I anticipated him, I don't know, doing that he did. I didn't anticipate that.
Well, he started.
I don't know who started. I finished it. You know what I'm saying? I got to win. I got to win. It's not I don't deal with more victories. I don't deal with one-on-one battles because this is not a one-on-one game. We're not out there playing 7-on-7, and this is not one-on-ones. If that's the case, I'm by myself. But it's a team effort, you know what I'm saying? I got a dub. You know, that's how it is.
Was there more talking in this game than usual? It certainly
It's the most talking there's ever been with another team. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know why. We don't really do too much talking. You've seen us week in and week out. We just go in and try to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? So, it happens this way sometimes. I don't care. No matter how a game approaches, you know what I'm saying? I'm a leader in this football team. I'm going to continue to be a leader, and I'm going to lead by example. And I don't get pushed around by nobody.
There was quite a bit of talking, even during the game, Mike. Jair had more than a few things to say last night.
Is the personality of this team changing under Matt LaFleur?
I think so. I think it's become a little less disciplined. I think that, Za'Darius, I was talking about this today, that Za'Darius was the guy that brought everybody out. He brought Preston Smith to the forefront in the Smith brothers press conferences. He was the guy that when they made big plays, they ran to the end zone and they were all doing things together in the train and everything. He was the guy that brought together. Who's the leader in this defense right now? There's no identity here.
No, and to me, a couple weeks ago, I said, man, if there's anybody on this defense that maybe is a shot at the Pro Bowl, it's Rashawn Gary, who, made it back on the field last night after dealing with the concussion protocol all week. But by the way, didn't Zadarius Smith have like 2 or 3 sacks already yesterday?
He's got
So
7.5 on the season. Yeah, 7.5 on the season and like 20 or 30 pressures. It's like crazy numbers.
That's crazy. And coming back from that, herniated disc surgery, bulging disc surgery that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jair Alexander, who actually only covered Diggs a handful of times in the game, the reporters went to his locker after the game to ask about what was the deal between you and Stephon Diggs before the game in the tunnel.
Jair, it looked like it started, whatever it was, right out of the tunnel with you and Stephon Diggs. What happened in the tunnel before the game when you guys yelling at each other going on the field?
Man, I was just keeping it real with him. Told him he couldn't mess with me in here, little boy. So that's all that was. Just being honest, you feel me? That's all I can do.
He said he didn't know who started it, but he said he finished it.
I don't know what he mean by that. I need more clarification.
Do you know who started it?
No. I don't either. I finished it.
How do you feel about your matchups with him dating back to your days with Minnesota? How would you characterize them?
I mean, I always thought he was a decent receiver. But, I don't really got much else to say about him.
Well, ultimately, the Packers got beat, so it is what it is. I understand that, but Mike, you go back to your question. What do you think of this team? What are they kind of morphing into? Look at Quay Walker. Quay Walker, the rookie, gets frustrated and shoves a practice squad tight end. Everybody thought it was a coach, and it wasn't. It was a practice squad tight end. And the guy's kind of trying to stop him from rolling out of bounds, I guess, or help him up or push him forward to help him back onto the field. And Quay Walker turns around and gets himself ejected from the game. I mean, discipline things like this and penalties like this, I got to think that there's some coaching or lack thereof involved.
I was surprised to see the move by Quay. I think that's kind of a trickle down from this defense. Apparently, in the last couple of weeks, I mean, all the fans, everything they see on the outside is that you guys are playing flat, plays with more emotion, and so they've tried to do that. And Jair is the one that stepped up 2 or 3 weeks ago and said, "We got to get out of the zone. You got to let me get on guys and cover them." So he kind of had a public battle with his defensive coordinator, Joe Barry, to sort of change, the way that they were approaching these games. And Quay Walker has been playing under, even though he's a first round pick, he's been playing under the radar, hasn't talked to the media a lot. He's trying to learn as he can, thrown in there, as a starter, and has done a lot of good things. A lot of teams to try and run on him, he has to keep on biting. They'll send a tight end out over the middle, and then Quay's got to go follow him, and that'll just open up his side where they can run at him. So Quay Walker, was asked, all right, you're running over there to the side. What happened with that play?
So I was making the tackle on the sideline on my former teammate, and I just felt as I was getting up, I wasn't on him or anything like that. I just felt as I was getting up, felt somebody pushed me from behind, and I probably misinterpreted on what it was. I just felt the push, and I'm on this sideline. Feelings just flowing, I'm very hyped and everything like that. And I just reacted out of emotion. But right away, as soon as I did that, I regretted that I did that, but it's something I'm going to have to live with and I'm going to have to face. I'm willing to do so. But I apologize to the guy that I did push, although I did feel like I was pushed, but that may not have been the case. But at the same time, I'm sorry for what I did, and I just got to face it. And it is what it is from that case.
Another area, I guess, of discipline and or concern. Eric Stokes last night very quietly flew under the radar, but he got pulled from the game, and it looked like Bisaccia had gotten his ass, Mike.
Yeah. First of all, there was that, we wanted to talk to Matt LaFleur about the inside linebacker situation. When Quay Walker goes after James Cook in the sidelines, ends up pushing that practice squad tight end guy that had been drafted by the Vikings originally. And so I had just asked LaFleur this a few weeks ago because overall LaFleur's teams have done very well at keeping the penalties in check. But now you're up to 8 penalties a game like last night and over, 50 yards, going in the wrong direction. And then you lose Devondre Campbell with a knee injury and you got Isaiah McDuffie, a special teams guy, and then Eric Wilson, who they just picked up a couple weeks ago to help on the special teams. Those are your two inside linebackers against the number one team in the NFL for the second half of the game. So LaFleur was asked about, and when I asked LaFleur about penalties, he told me, like, every Tuesday or Wednesday, the league sends out a video of things they're going to emphasize. They have examples. I mean, this is talking penalties is a chapter every week that Matt LaFleur's coaches talk with their players. And LaFleur was asked about, what changed in the game in the defense when Quay Walker gets ejected just a couple of minutes before the halftime.
Yeah, I just think it's I don't know exactly what happened. I could not see it. But like I told him on the field, I said it's always the second guy. And you got to keep your poise. And that's something we talk about, we stress all the time. And we show clips of guys around the league losing their mind. And, it's an unfortunate lesson that he's got to learn. And I hope it's a good reminder for everybody on our football team, because that's the kind of stuff that I have zero tolerance for. Mistakes are going to happen in this game. But losing your cool, losing your poise, putting the team in jeopardy, got no tolerance for that.
So again, Stokes, that was an interesting issue because I didn't really see it as if something had specifically happened regarding Stokes and him losing his head or completely losing his assignment or something, right?
It happened on the play in the first half. Remember, Stephon Diggs catches one over the middle, and they were moving the ball, and Quay Walker wraps up around him and punches the ball out. And just as luck would have it, though, the ball ends up, it's a fumble, but the ball goes right back into Stephon Diggs' lap. Now, 21, Eric Stokes is there on the side. He jumps into the pile, though, trying to pull the ball out. And then, there's refs standing around in review. And I don't know what happened after that, but I know that the next play, Keshawn Nixon is out there, and he moves into the slot. Rasul Douglas moves out to the corner, and the Bills end up gashing them for a touchdown pass. And Eric Stokes is on the sideline being yelled at by Rich Bisaccia. Now, people are saying, well, he's a special teams coordinator. What's he doing talking to the defensive backs? And my only answer to it is I think that Jerry Gray, the defensive backs coach, is one of the guys up top talking into the headset of Joe Barry. So I think Bisaccia, one of the roles that he has is to talk to those secondary guys, and he's got background in that as well. So you tell me, though, I'm not buying this. LaFleur was asked about, why did you pull Eric Stokes out of the game?
Well, why'd you guys take Stokes out for that a little bit?
I just change it up, and that's why.
No. No. That was he swallowed hard there. Like, I can't really say anything about what I'm about to say, so I might as well just eat it.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, real quick before we go to break here. When Matt LaFleur did the halftime little interview and came out of the tunnel, I don't know if you saw it or not. Did it look like he was either going to cry or was crying? Like emotional?
No, you know what? When he's in the battle like that, he's very intense. As low key as he is all during the week, on the field he's getting more intense as they go from 0-3, 0-4. Yeah, he's that might have been something that he laid on the line for those guys. And the halftime speech that he gave to him to try and kick butts and come out and play with some pride in the second half.
It looked like he was like ready to be emotional, and I just kind of threw it out there, and people said I thought he was about ready to cry too, or had just gotten done. Not to say it was wrong. I'm just simply saying, was there like this emotional moment? You can feel things, your season slipping away, and this is it. And you're, maybe one emotional plea, guys, if we don't pull this together, we're done. You get that type of thing. So, okay, let's do this.
To me, that's growth in Matt LaFleur as a head coach. I think he needs more of that.
Let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break, come back. We got Mike Clemens along for the ride. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Sloppy Joe's and Smoke on the Water. Hell of a Halloween party out there over the weekend at Smoke on the Water as well. They got a lot of good stuff coming up, a lot of bands coming up, a lot of musical weekends. Make sure you keep paying attention to them over on Facebook. Smoke on the Water out there in Okauchee Lake. Stay tuned. We got more after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Nine plays, 8 runs on this drive for Green Bay. Here's the ninth run. It's Jones again with a nice opening. Inside the 20 into the 17-yard line.
I mean, I appreciate the fight, but loss is loss. Got to get it corrected. It's not something that I'm not going to take victories on these losses. It's a L in the L column. We got to get it fixed.
It's an L, no doubt about it. Unfortunately. 877-867-1670. Hey, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Great Lakes Dragaway. Go to greatlakesdragaway.com. And the season pretty much is done. But if you're looking for something for next year, you still have the 2023 season passes going on. I know they had a racing going on this weekend, and things are beginning to close down. But Great Lakes Dragaway, great place for not only the car people in your life, but just for some fun, something different. Check it out. That's greatlakesdragaway.com. Greatlakesdragaway.com down in Union Grove, Wisconsin. Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline. And so, Mike, Bakhtiari, it's still an L. You can put whatever, kind of lipstick on the pig you want. But, the bottom line was that they just didn't get the job done specifically in the first half. But maybe moral victory-wise, the offensive line kind of came together and they started to be able to run the ball a little bit better, specifically in the second half.
Yeah, but it's been a crazy stretch for Luke Butkus, the offensive line coach, where you've got this drama where, it's 90 minutes before the game last week, and Bakhtiari can't go, apparently because of the knee. And then, this week you're wondering if that's going to happen again. Now, Zach Tom, they threw into left tackle, did a fair job on pass protection. I know he got beat by Montez Sweat a couple times on run plays because, Sweat is just so big and so physical. And then last night's surprise is Elton Jenkins, who can't go now. And I know that he'd been limited, but I guess he's been dealing with some kind of a foot injury. And it was not his knee, it was his foot. But why they can't make up these decisions on Saturday. But again, Rodgers was talking about after the game that it was a shock. Now we're putting Zach Tom at a left guard. And this is so disruptive to these guys' mental beings when they go through practice Wednesday through Friday. They have the walkthrough on Saturday. They have a team meeting on Saturday night. And then, just as you're getting taped up, you find out some guys changing on your offensive line against the number one team in the NFL in prime time. But, hey, they kept on chipping away. And you get Aaron Jones. He had that nice 32-yard run. A.J. Dillon got his leg all twisted up by Matt Milano. That was kind of a dirty hit. I mean, he was grabbing him like a horse collar. That probably should have been a flag. We'll see if A.J. Dillon's what his left leg is like today. But 208 yards rushing. They averaged 6.7 yards per carry. And the big thing, of course, is time of possession. They kept the ball out of Josh Allen's and that offense's hands. So, you're trying to look for progress. You lose, but is your team getting better? And so, we asked David Bakhtiari about that.
Early feelings a little bit optimistic, but of course, we can work on it. I mean, I think the numbers spoke for itself. Situational ball, factor into where we were, but when the game was back and forth, we were competitive. We were able to get Jonesy in the game early, and I know he came out ready to play, so that was awesome. And same with AJ, and something that I guess as an offensive line we can build off of. But I mean, we gotta. Doesn't matter what phase it is. Everyone needs to step it up, O-line included, to get the job done. We got to get wins.
I think anyway that the Buffalo Bills had to be a little bit surprised as the number one rush defense in the league. The Packers were able to at least get the job done there, right?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that Von Miller said this in his press conference. I mean, here's one of the best prepped linebackers. He's been a huge spark for the Bills defense. He's taken that Bills defense up one step further. And here's a guy who got his ring with the Broncos when Peyton Manning came into Denver as a quarterback, got his ring last year with Matthew Stafford and the Rams, then leaves, that situation to go to the Bills because, figured Josh Allen's one game away and the Bills, put together a nice package for him. You know what? You didn't hear Von Miller's name called much during the game, and I think Yosh Nijman did an excellent job at right tackle taking him out. But after the game, 33-year-old Von Miller, defensive leader now of the Bills, said, we were surprised that Aaron Rodgers wasn't throwing the ball all over the place.
I was shocked that they ran the ball so much. They had Aaron Rodgers, and by previous bouts, I was just expecting him to have a little bit more control. So I was kind of anticipating him, passing the ball a little bit more, and they just kept running and running and running. And I think, for me personally, it just caught me off guard, and I had like some lanes open where they could run the ball and stuff because, I was just playing the pass. I'm looking at the scoreboard, and I'm seeing that we're up by 17 points, and it's 2 minutes left in the third quarter, and I'm thinking that they got to start passing the ball soon, but nope.
And that was just it. The Packers were down. They were down, 17, I think. And the only real plan they had that was succeeding was the run game. I know it was crazy, but, even Collinsworth said they're not prepared for a 2-minute drill. This team just doesn't have it. So they got to do the ground and pound, which is what we've been saying all year long. The only way you're going to be successful is if you're up by a couple of scores and able to run the ball versus down by a couple of scores and running the ball.
And the biggest thing I saw this happen a couple of times in Washington as well, but last night in particular, man, if Rodgers was back just 5 steps, 7 steps, how the pass protection was breaking down right up the middle. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly if it's over Josh Myers or, one of the guards was let it up. If they're double teaming Runyon, but I couldn't believe the pressure that Rodgers was getting right up the middle. And that's got to be solved by Stenovich and LaFleur and these guys. But I don't know if they got to keep, A.J. Dillon in the backfield to chip guys or DeGuara, somebody. But in the meantime, you talk to Sean McDermott, defensive-minded head coach of the Bills. He's been there now 6 years. And he said, he was asked, are you surprised that your visiting opponent is down by 17 and running the football?
That's not a reason. The run game, that they had the run game cooking before that. So, and then when they did, down 17, a little bit, but with Aaron Rodgers too, he has an uncanny way to bring his team back in a hurry. So they probably feel comfortable in that situation doing that, knowing who they have at quarterback and how well he operates and how quickly he can score. I was maybe a little bit surprised, but not. It wasn't out of the question that they would run the ball in those situations.
The other thing, Mike, and I found it interesting listening to Aaron Rodgers after the game, he said it finally felt like we're the Packers again.
Yeah.
This week. That was interesting.
And starting with the week of preparation, we also learned that LaFleur Saturday in the production meeting with the networks said to them, I did have a meeting this week where I brought in the team captains. I brought in Rodgers, I brought in Rashawn, I brought in the team captains for a meeting to say, what are we going to do different this week? What do you guys suggest? And I think that meeting happened late Wednesday, which is why we waited 45 minutes for Rodgers to come out. But Rodgers was asked last night at the podium how he thought this team got ready for the Bills.
I thought we had a great week of practice. The energy in the pregame in the locker room was different. It felt like Packers again. I feel like for whatever reason we didn't have confidence for a few weeks. We weren't playing with a lot of energy. We weren't amped up before the game. So I like the way we felt before the game. Maybe it's Sunday football. Maybe it was being counted out. Maybe it was this environment. But I like that's encouraging. But the play in the first half wasn't very encouraging.
Now, with the state of what this football team is in right now here, with the lack of continuity in the passing game, do you feel that it's any added pressure for you with this team on your shoulders right now?
Yeah. I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest with you. I don't feel any added pressure. I'd like more on me. I enjoy the pressure, enjoy the opportunities to throw the ball down the field, and hopefully we can get some opportunities next week. We need some guys healthy, though.
Well, this is a team, though, like I said, I mean, they got to get off to a fast start, and they got to play with a lead. I think that's the only way they get comfortable and actually play aggressive. But I don't think they're equipped right now to be able to be down by a couple of scores and all of a sudden come back in a furious way.
No, and your offensive line, which has been so good the last 3 years, it's lost some veterans and Billy Turner, and Lucas Patrick and others, and Corey Lindsley from a couple of years ago. And then, your wide receiver group. Aaron Rodgers lined up last night against this team that clearly is the leader in the AFC headed to the Super Bowl with 3 rookies at wide receiver, with a banged up, Sammy Watkins, with a second-year guy that they don't trust in Amari Rodgers. And then Christian, Watson, they said they had 5 or 6 packages for him, and they were throwing to him early. He was going to stretch the field for them and unleash that speed. And here he goes helmet to helmet, and he leaves with a concussion. I mean, Christian Watson can't stay on the field, and so you're down a man there, and you're going up against this Josh Allen's scoring machine. You're down by 14 early, and LaFleur, asked about how do you call a game after that.
We're in a hole. I want to say they score 5 consecutive drives after we held them to a 3-and-out, and then the next 5 possessions are getting points. Whereas, we had opportunities, where we didn't always cash in. And certainly, having Bobby's touchdown come off the board, it was a bad 4th down call by me. They played cover 0. I think there's also just the discipline aspect. I mean, we're getting killed with penalties, and it's taking points off the board. It's extending drives. We got to be, when it gets chippy, you got to keep your poise. We can't be losing players to a personal foul, getting in a shoving match on the sideline. So that was disappointing.
Let's do this. We're going to break away, come back with more of Mike Clemens when we return this portion of the program. Brought to you by our friends over there at Milwaukee Bedbug Pros. If you're looking to keep them out, or if you got them, you don't want them, that's MilwaukeeBedbugPros.com. That's MilwaukeeBedbugPros.com for anything from townhomes, individual homes, if you got your house has got something in it. How about, when you're looking, if you're an apartment owner, multiple unit apartment buildings, or maybe you've got a dorm room, a condo, hotels, motels, resorts, medical facilities, whatever it happens to be, daycare, get a hold of our friends at MilwaukeeBedbugPros.com, MilwaukeeBedbugPros.com, or just call Michael direct, 414-877-5811, 414-877-5811. Again, 414-877-5811. Final segment, Bill Michaels Show, coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Gene Nadella and the Title Tones featuring Wayne Larrivee, Jason Wilde, and Mark Tauscher. Game Day Bus, take 47.
Let's all take the Game Day Bus
to Titletown.
Let's go. Wayne, Tausch, Wilde, haven't you been practicing all year? What if I said Pella fans can get 0% interest for 48 months on any replacement project right now?
Yeah! And there is your Pella.
Can you say that? Isn't that trademarked?
His paycheck for this says otherwise. Speaking of catchphrases, we call this the Pella Now Pay Later option. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin's experts stop by for an in-home consultation. They'll help you choose the perfect windows for your home. The installation is completed with no hassle or mess, leaving only perfect results while you put no money down, make no payments, and no interest for up to 4 years. Schedule your free consultation now at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Expires 10/31/2022.
Get on your ATV and hit the trails in Humbird, Wisconsin. Moto right up to the Scholze Family Beef Farm Store or order online at ScholzeFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Allen up and out of the pocket and throws on the right, throws an interception underneath. Rasul Douglas pitches it back to Jair Alexander. Alexander, as Singletary knocks tackle him. Just trying to make a big play. Instead, Allen makes the first turnover of the game.
Those happen. We'll learn from it. Coming off a bye, at the end of the day, we're 6-1. I know we got a team that's playing really well next week in New York. So learn from this one, put it behind us, and look forward towards next week.
Welcome back to the program. Mike Clemens, brought to you by the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, and awesome. And the Bay Family Restaurant, they're cooking it up home style all the time. Stop into the Bay Family Restaurant. Say hello on our behalf, as well as just stopping in and going to the Bay Motel Green Bay. Go to baymotelgreenbay.com or call them for reservations, 920-494-3441, only a mile from Lambeau Field. Perfect for a family stay. Again, call them for reservations, 920-494-3441. That's the baymotelgreenbay.com. Mike Clemens along, and at least last night, Mike, there was a little bit of success, maybe some things to hope for. It's a shame that Robert Tonyan got called for the push-off. Otherwise, that would have made the game a little bit closer. Who knows what the outcome could possibly have been at that point. There was a lot of things that just turned the game around.
Yeah, and that was Josh Allen there coming out of the break. He only had a quarterback rating of 75, 2 touchdowns with the 2 picks. Rodgers' quarterback rating was 91. But, yeah, Tonyan, you scheme to get him open. He's wide open, but they call him for pushing off on the defender when they, these guys were grabbing all night long. You need a field goal, and that gets blocked. Rodgers says, he's processing that it's still a good team. We just got to we got to correct these mistakes.
We're hurting ourselves. We had a touchdown to Bobby called back on a penalty. We had other opportunities to get points. 4th down. I had Joe there for a big gainer down the left side. Couldn't get the ball off. Whether or not we got held on the outside, I'm not sure, but just execution.
Also, last night, we saw a little bit of a different team. Even though they lost, there were some encouraging signs versus what we had seen previously against Washington, against the Jets and such, Mike.
Yeah, we were getting to think that the Packers were the slump busters of the league. But last night, they didn't get blown out by 20 or 30. They kept it within 10, and Preston Smith says, that gives them hope for the next week.
We lost to the number 1 team in the NFL. It was a close game. It's a lot of good things we put on tape, and it's a lot of good things we can learn from. And we fixed our mistakes and made sure that we came out and played more better in the second half. And we was conscious of our rush lanes and not letting him get out the pocket and using his legs to make plays and force him to stay in the pocket and throw and try to give him an uncomfortable pocket. It's a lot of things we can we put on tape that we got to learn from and fix to make sure we don't make those mistakes going forward.
Mike, now what? You move forward, you try to, you got to get a win over Detroit. I mean, that goes without saying, right?
Here's a Lions team where last week they lost the game when, former Packers running back Jamal Williams fumbles at the goal line. Yesterday, they were up 14-0, 21-7 over the Dolphins, and Tua throws a touchdown with 11 seconds left, and the Lions lose at home to the Dolphins, like 31-27. They are 1-6. It's not for lack of trying, but they have the worst luck, and now they got the Packers coming into Ford Field next week.
Great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Mike. There you go. That's our buddy Mike Clemens. Wrapping it up. Final hour of the program. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. You've got Bucks basketball tonight. Bucks taking the undefeated record on the hardwood tonight. Also, you got Monday Night Football. You got Game 3 of the World Series. You got a lot of sports to watch tonight. We're going to be doing it. We'll talk about it coming up here again tomorrow on the program. Until then,